Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome again to another edition of the What's Going Down podcast. Tonight, we are going to have a great show for you, but first, let me introduce you. I am your host, Big Time Jimmy Larson, and of course, with me, as always, is my co-host, Mr. CT Bishop.
What's going down? What's going down? What's going down? Hopefully everybody hears me better this week because we've been hearing a lot that they can barely hear me. So hopefully people hear me better.
Well, the people will hear you, as this week we are going to be hearing a lot about the Survivor Series. Tomorrow, of course, is the 2020 WWE Survivor Series, for better or worse. And we are going to look back at the 33-year history of this tremendous show, which was number 2 of the big 4.
Yep.
With Royal Rumble being number 3 and SummerSlam being 4, and of course number 1 being WrestleMania. We will look at that and more today on the program. But first, we want to talk about where else you can find us if you are not already following. You can follow me.
Yep.
Okay, you can go first.
No, go ahead, sir. No. You go ahead. You go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. You can follow me at the Big Time Jimmy Larson channel, which you can find in the description below. There is a link. We have a new show on the books that has begun this week. Time Out at the Arcade. There's 1 episode so far. You can go and check that out right now as I review some of the miniature arcades that are bringing retro back into our lives. And as well, you can also check out my main show, At the Movies. This week, a new episode went up. It is our Thanksgiving special as I review a movie that I guarantee none of you have ever heard of, called The Hoboken Chicken Emergency. It stars Peter Billingsley from A Christmas Story, and it is a classic, in my opinion. So make sure you go check that out. Next week, I always say I'm going to plug the new episodes. Next week begins the Christmas Spectacular. 5 weeks of Christmas movies, and next week it all starts on Black Friday with a classic from 1946 as I review It's a Wonderful Life. And there is going to be a lot of surprises in that review, so make sure that you check it out. Also, I just want to make quick mention that we are still accepting this time videos for the Christmas Vacation review. We are going to be having a cool little intro with people. If you want to send a video, you can go ahead and send that in. But first, CT Bishop will tell you in a minute where you can send that. But first, let's hear from him where else you can see him at.
All right, if you want to see me on Josue Skits. That is where I do comedy skits. I often on that channel do other things like karaoke or vlogs or whatever. So you really have to subscribe to that channel so that way you can see all the hilarious things that I do, as well as any other thing that I do, as well as Tuesday Night Tussle. Tuesday Night Tussle. That's right. That is where I take fights. I add commentary. I make fun of it. It's just a really cool thing. I can't wait to get skits done on that show as well. I'm working on so many different things for that show as well, and hopefully soon we'll get to see the reemergence of Big Time Jimmy Larson as well.
Well, my schedule's pretty tied up, but it's going to be tough, but we will work on that.
Yeah. In time.
But where can they send the videos, and where else can they contact us?
All right, so if you want to contact us, you can contact us at the email address. That will be whatsgoingdowntoday at gmail.com. That's right, whatsgoingdowntoday at gmail.com. Also, we have the official Facebook page. I kept my promise. It is up. Like that page because you're going to see a lot of cool stuff. It could be a random live stream from me or Big Time or any kind of funny post, whatever. You can contact us on the page as well. All that stuff in the description box below. Also, if you have a Discord, if you're part of Discord, you want to join our Discord server, the link is also in the description box below. That is the invite. Accept the invite. Join us. contact us there, video, whatever, you know. And if you have Twitter, I am on Twitter. I am on Twitter, and I promote, I promote everything that I do. I promote the Josue Skits. I promote Tuesday Night Tussle. I promote What's Going Down. And my Twitter handle is at Rev Mercado. That's at REVMERCADO. And that is the link to that is also in the description box below. That is how you can contact us. That is how you can get a hold of us. That is how you can send any video submissions. And all it is saying Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays. Am I correct?
I was going to get to that.
Oh,
All
I'm
you have to
sorry.
do is hold your camera horizontally. Make sure it's horizontally, which is sideways for those of you who don't know. Hold your camera sideways and just say either Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays if you prefer to say that. And you will see yourself in a future episode of At the Movies airing in December as part of a review of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. There's a reveal of an upcoming review. And you will see yourself on that. But again, we need those submissions as soon as possible. So if you are going to do that, do it as soon as possible. Send it to one of those wonderful contact places that he just mentioned.
Now, for those of our listeners that know us personally, right? They know how to get a hold of us. You know that this is a reminder to them as well that if they want to be a part of that, they know how to get a hold of us and send us the video, right? So they can do that as well.
Yes, indeed, they can. And
Okay. I
with
was just
that,
double checking.
with that, we are not going to waste any time as today is going to be a jam-packed show. We are going to discuss the Survivor Series. That's my worst Vince McMahon impression. Usually I do well. Today was not that case.
Mhm.
We're going to start with my top 10 favorite Survivor Series matches of all time.
Mhm.
And then we'll hear from CT Bishop what his favorite matches are. Maybe he's got the same as me. We do not know. We did not collaborate on this list. So let's first start with this, and we will discuss these matches as well as we go along. That's how we're going to begin this whole deal of going over highlights. And then I have some notes of other highlights that we will run down year by year that are not from our top lists, but we'll get to that a little bit later on. So we will start. How do you want to do this? Do you think we should start from the bottom, like number 10, and then go all the way to the one that way?
Or by year or something.
Well, no, because I'm giving the top 10 list.
Okay. Okay.
The year by year is going to be the stuff that's not on my top 10.
No, I'm saying if you do your top 10 based on the year that it came out, that it happened.
But then it's not in the top. It doesn't tell the list.
Okay. Well, yeah,
You know what
well, yeah, I got you. Do it from do it from the bottom. Do it from the bottom.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, first we're going to start with the honorable mention. It did not quite make the top 10, but it was very close. And again, it's got its own reasons why it's not on the list, but it's also got its reason why I would have put it on the list. And it's one that most people probably would not have on their list. It's from 2016. It was Brock Lesnar versus Bill Goldberg. How do you feel about that match?
Ah.
I take it he loves it.
Oh man. I believe this is the one where both of them they just kind of phoned it in because they were both leaving.
No. This is the one where
Oh, after they came
I
back.
wouldn't say
After
they
they came
phoned it
back.
in. I
This
wouldn't
is
say they phoned it in. This was the first return match,
okay.
and nobody saw this coming, which is why it was so big to me.
Yeah.
I didn't see it live. I was actually getting a sleep study done that night, and then the next day I was getting ready to watch it, and WWE's website spoiled it for me, and I was very upset because I avoided spoilers like the plague, and they ruined it before I even got a chance to see it. But Brock Lesnar basically beat Goldberg, beat Brock Lesnar in under a minute, or was it a minute? It was very short.
Yeah, I think it was under a minute.
I mean, nobody saw that coming. Because especially after seeing their match at WrestleMania 20, that was just horrendous, and then seeing this, it was just like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
And it got the people talking. And that's the point, to get the people talking. And it made you want to see where it was going to go.
Mm-hmm.
So it did its job. Had it been longer, it probably would have been another WrestleMania 20. Based on that, do you change your stance on it a bit, or do you still stick with yours?
I'll stick with it. I'll stick with it mainly because uh okay, I get the premise of Goldberg, you know, and wanting to have a fast match because he really doesn't have a big arsenal, and and what he does. And but it was still, I don't know, man. I mean, me personally, for a Survivor Series match to to be in there, it has to really uh it has to last more than like 30 seconds, more than a minute. That's just
Well,
my
that's why
opinion.
it didn't quite make the top 10, is because of its length.
Hmm.
And there's another one I'll mention later in the not the honorable mentions, but when we go year by year with the ones that didn't make the top list, I have another short match that I'll be mentioning later.
Hmm.
All right, so with that, let's move on.
Good.
Number 10, Dolph Ziggler versus Cabal, or as I know him as, Loki, 2010, for the Intercontinental Championship. This is, to my knowledge, the only match that Loki ever had on WWE pay per view. Am I correct with that? Do you know?
Yeah, as far as I know, yeah.
It's really a shame. I understand why he didn't stick around. I mean, they put him in that ridiculous angle with the Bella twins, and they made a joke out of him.
Hmm.
And he felt he only went just so he could say he worked for WWE, and he felt that was enough. And I do feel it was a little weird he didn't ever want to work WrestleMania, but apparently there were rumors, I don't know how true, that he was supposed to be in the 2011 Royal Rumble, but when he heard that he was going to have one of those spots that he just kind of gets knocked out right away and somebody takes his spot, he decided not to do it.
Hmm.
I never actually got confirmation on that rumor.
I heard the
So
same
I
thing.
don't know if that was true.
No, I heard the
Huh?
same. I heard the same thing. I heard the same thing that
Yeah, I heard he showed up at the Rumble and then left.
yeah.
I don't know how true that is.
Well,
And I
if
think that spot ended up going to Justin Gabriel, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, no, Justin Gabriel, he just had started at the 2011.
hmm
I think that was his first Royal Rumble. So I don't remember who got the spot, but that was what I heard, though, anyway. But yeah, this match with Ziggler, I mean, Ziggler's great anyway, and so is Cabal. So on paper, it's great, but it really is. The only thing that really ruins this match is Michael Cole's commentary.
yeah,
I tried watching it again the other day, and Cole he's horrible.
yeah.
But if they had a better commentator, I think this could have been a 5-star classic.
No,
And
I
it may
agree.
have even gotten higher up my list if it had better commentary.
No,
Commentary actually brought this down.
no, I agree. I agree. I definitely agree with that. Michael. I mean, they were trying to make.
This was like the start of heel Michael Cole
Yeah, exactly.
during
Yeah,
this.
and I mean, Michael Cole as a heel never worked, in my opinion.
Michael Cole as anything never works.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
hate Michael Cole.
well, you got to remember they were trying to turn Michael Cole into the next Jim Ross, and you can't replace Jim
Ugh.
Ross.
No, Michael Cole is trying to be the alternative to Jim Ross.
I mean, I,
And he's horrible.
I have no comment. I have no comment. It's just the commentary was terrible altogether. I mean, you
But
know,
the match is great.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and the thing is that depending on who you are, if the commentary is terrible, to really hype up the match and really keep you going, uh, it doesn't matter how good the match is. It's just gonna bring it down for you. I mean, unless you're there live. If you're there live, you're not gonna hear the commentary. But when you're watching it on pay per view, if the commentary isn't there,
See, in my opinion, watching it live also brings it down though, because you're usually sitting around a bunch of people who don't know what they're talking about,
Hmm.
or they're bored because they don't know who they're watching,
Yeah.
and they ruin it too. I'll never forget. I was at I know this is off topic a bit, but I was at Worcester, Massachusetts for Backlash 2003, the
Hmm.
night that The Rock wrestled Goldberg, and these two guys behind my brother and I were driving us crazy, telling a story about the Undertaker and Kane, that they really were real life brothers,
Oh
and
gosh.
that WWE was trying to now nix that idea because Undertaker's father was upset and didn't want the public to know that his wife had cheated on him with Paul Bearer to have Kane.
Well,
And they weren't joking. They really were telling this story like it was true to each other. And my brother and I were just shaking our heads like, I wish we could get them to get out of our section or we get out of their section. I don't want to sit near these people.
well, here's the thing, bro. Here's the thing. Maybe kayfabe is still alive to them. Maybe
But where
kayfabe.
was that story ever told about Undertaker's father being upset that his wife cheated on him with Paul Bear?
I'm just saying, maybe kayfabe is still,
That's not
something.
even kayfabe, bro.
No, no,
That's just
but some
made
people,
up.
no, well, some people that I know, and you remember we were having a discussion yesterday about working with people with disabilities and whatever. But even not people with disabilities, they're some of the best fans because kayfabe is still alive to them. You know what I mean? But then there's some people like my grandfather, my late grandfather, may he rest in peace, that kayfabe was still very much alive for him. And if he hears a rumor about something that happened, supposedly kayfabe, you know what I mean? He was gonna believe it. And he was gonna be ticked off or celebrating or something, So there are still a lot of people very much like that.
Yeah, that was just craziness stuff. All
Well,
right,
I mean,
moving on.
the fact that apparently apparently that the real life fact that McMahon killed kayfabe, I guess it
Oh, he
didn't
killed
affect
a
them.
lot of things.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
He killed a lot of things.
Yeah.
And the only thing that Kane killed was Kitty Vick. But anyway, number 9.
And Triple H did something with her body.
This is one of the few actual Survivor Series matches on my list.
Okay.
2005. Don't know how well you remember this match, but Team Raw versus Team SmackDown 2005. 2005 was the year that WWE was really pushing the whole deal with the Raw versus SmackDown. It was like the deal of the year. We saw it at the Royal Rumble, which led to a great moment where Team Raw and Team SmackDown they separated in the ring
Hmm.
to go after each other. It was huge, and this was like the culmination where they were going to put them all together, and it was the main event, 5-on-5, Team SmackDown with their captain Batista, with his team Bobby Lashley, John Bradshaw Layfield, JBL, Randy Orton, and Rey Mysterio, as they took on Team Raw, The Big Show, Carlito, Chris Masters, Kane, and Shawn Michaels. And this match is phenomenal. It's a match that you wish you could get out of a Survivor Series where every single guy, all 10 guys, get their chance to show their spots and they get their chance to shine in the match and really show the world, hey, this is what I can do. So instead of just being a thrown together team, like most of these Survivor Series matches, especially now, are done, this was totally different and it was outstanding. Do you remember the match?
Barely, barely. All those chair
All
shots to
right, so
the
I guess
head.
that's all you have to say
Yeah, well, I mean, all
about
those
that.
chair. You already know, brother. All those chair shots to the head throughout the years.
I know. Well, it was definitely something special, put it that way. And that's why it makes my list.
Hmm.
So number 8. Have I said any of yours so far? Probably not.
No.
All right. Number 8. unification match for the WCW World Tag Team titles and the WWF Tag Team titles inside of a steel cage. We're going back to 2001 for the Dudley Boys versus the Hardy Boys. How well do you remember this at all?
I remember some of it. I thought it was a good match.
This match features a spot that I sent you the other day because I couldn't stop laughing,
Mm.
where Stacy, to distract referee Nick Patrick, she lifts up her skirt, revealing her thong, and Paul Heyman on commentary with Jim Ross, he's just like, "Oh wow, JR, look at Stacy, I am in love." And then JR goes, "With Nick Patrick? I thought that was over." And it's so funny.
I still I when you showed me the meme that you sent me, I was laughing like crazy. I said, "Oh my gosh!"
Yeah, I made that. but yeah, that was funny. And Stacy tries to get a table in the ring. They're like, "How's she gonna get a table in the cage?"
Now here's one thing
But
about Stacy Keebler, just to kind of go off topic real quick, okay? The girl has fantastic legs, not the biggest booty, but very nice. That's all I got to say about that. I,
that's
we
all you're adding. That's
well,
the big deal.
I'm still trying. I'm still trying to keep it family friendly. You know what I mean?
All right. Well, oh boy. Anyway, yeah. So no, they basically put her in with the Dudleys, I think, just so that they had her up against Lita because Lita was with the Hardys at the time.
Yep.
And of course, they unified the tag titles by making them the WWF titles. They did not keep the WCW titles as the main titles.
Mm. Which it would have been
But
cool
moving
though.
on,
It would have been cool
we
though.
go to an we go to an innovative match for number 7, the first ever Elimination Chamber match in 2002. Rumors, which pretty much I've heard these all the time.
Hmm.
In 2001, when they did the uh, invasion angle ending by having Team WWF versus the Alliance,
Hmm.
they'd wanted to do War Games. But it changed in September because 9/11 happened.
Yep.
And they thought we can't have a thing called War Games when we have a war going on. So they nixed it and they just did a regular Survivor Series match in 2001. 1 year later, Triple H, I guess, was pushing to try and get War Games again.
Hmm.
Vince was against the idea. And so finally, they came up with a compromise that they would create this brand new concept that we'd never seen, that was the mixture of War Games and like the Cell and the regular Survivor Series.
Hmm.
And that became Elimination Chamber. And I've heard many of the guys who were involved in this first one say they didn't know what this thing was even going to look like until they got there.
Yep.
And
I've heard some of the few
they were
interviews.
basically told, Chris Jericho said it best. We were told, here's this giant monstrosity that's guaranteed to hurt you for real. Go out there and have a good match.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you had Shawn Michaels making his big return. He had wrestled the unsanctioned match with Triple H in SummerSlam in August.
Yeah.
And now this was his first official match back after the back injury.
Hmm.
And he's going in there with Triple H, who at the time was the champion. Ric Flair was with Triple H. And then you got Chris Jericho in there. Kane is in this match. Booker T. And Rob Van Dam. And Shawn is wearing, by the way, the most ugliest brown pants of all time. I still don't understand what the deal was with Shawn's look in this match. Nobody can explain it, why he wore that. But basically,
Probably to be
I heard the rumor
comfortable.
that Shawn was not supposed to win this match, by the way, and that was a last minute change.
Mhm.
I don't know how true that is. But Shawn won the match. He won the world title, and it was like it's Shawn Michaels' way back into the main roster. You know,
Mhm.
it was a really big deal. The other big deal that came out of this match, Van Dam, now guys do it all the time. Van Dam jumped off one of the chamber pods,
Yeah.
and when he did, he hits a frog splash on Triple H, but he screwed it up, and he hits his knee directly into Triple H's sternum, and I guess he cracked a couple of Triple H's ribs.
Yeah.
And Triple H, you could see the pain. Triple H screams a profanity line, which is cut out on the network, but it's in the original broadcast. And he's just in excruciating pain and somehow continues the match, which credit to Triple H for that. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, apparently Van Dam got punished for that too, by the way. But yeah, this was a great match. And then, of course, we would get our second Elimination Chamber match the next year at SummerSlam. But so the Survivor Series thing was thrown out. But I think it would have been cool if they had a chamber match every Survivor Series. But the problem they were running into with the chamber match, and this is why now they've redesigned the chamber even,
Mm-hmm.
it's so big of a structure, it couldn't go in certain arenas. There was no room for it.
Yeah,
So they had to run the same arenas all the time to do the chamber matches, and it kind of got old.
Yeah.
So now, so they can run more arenas, that's why they changed the structure. But I really don't like the new look of the structure.
No,
it's also supposed to be safer now, so I get that, but it looked so amazing in those early ones.
No, yeah, no, and you know, it's crazy because if you know with the original chamber, it was a big circular structure with a square ring in the middle. It was really, I mean, it was a menacing looking thing with all like how many miles of chain did they use? Like,
I forgot the mileage, but I remember 2 tons of chain.
I mean,
I
if you
remember
count,
2 tons. 2 tons of the structure was 2 tons.
yeah, and I can remember, and I remember some of the shoot interviews with Rob Van Dam and some of the others where he's talking about, okay, how can I be creative? What can I do here? What can I do here? And blah blah blah. And it's like, oh my gosh, man. It was
I
like,
remember Eric Bischoff coming out,
hmm
and he just starts hitting every section of the metal with a metal rod
hmm
that he brought out
yeah,
because
yeah,
he was trying to show off like how this thing was like unforgiving and everything. But they all the time plugged to that the pods had this bulletproof glass.
hmm
But there's a joke somebody made that they said it should have been bulletproof, it should have been people proof, because all the time people were getting thrown through it.
yeah,
Like the first time they did it, it was cool, but then it was like it was expected,
yeah.
and it got like really old really fast.
No, yeah, yeah. It's crazy. It's just and and I remember Jim Cornette when he was discussing when he was discussing the Elimination Chamber or even the Hell in a Cell. Like it's or certain spots, right? Certain spots like the table or like going through the glass or whatever. It's like it's cool if it happens every once in a while, but when you keep doing it repetitively, it just gets boring and there's no purpose to it. So I got to agree with Jim Cornette on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree too. Just like that's why I'm against them having the cell match as its own pay per view, even. And it's like it's the
Exactly.
same problem WCW ran into with the War Games. Dusty Rhodes even said that
Mm-hmm.
War Games is supposed to be a payoff to a major feud, and then it became just a yearly attraction.
Exactly. Exactly.
And it's like, okay, who can we throw in there? And I mean, with War Games, I'm more forgiving than most people because I'm probably the only person on the planet who actually enjoyed the 1995 rendition of
Yep.
it. But everybody hates that one. I like it. It was cool with Hogan and all the guys in fatigues. Hogan comes in throwing smoke bombs and everything. And
Now when
Bobby Heenan on commentary was great in that. I
yeah,
like
yeah.
95,
Oh yeah, it
but
was good. It was good. And then
I
when
don't. 96 has its moments, but then 97 was terrible,
yeah,
and 98. Let's not even talk about.
yeah, I'm not gonna. Now
And
when
let's
Triple
not talk
H
about
brought it
War Games
back,
2000 either, for that
now when
matter.
Triple H brought it back for NXT, I thought it was really cool. And then the concept kind
I
of
hate
changed.
that version.
Why?
For one, without having the roof, it's not War Games to me. I don't like seeing just a double ring cage where guys are jumping off the roof
Mhm.
because there's no roof. They're jumping off the top of the cage. I need the roof back. It's not the same without it.
And I
So that
mean,
that
even
hurts it.
no, I can agree with you on that. I can agree with you on
The
that.
shark cage gimmick
Yeah, but
hurts it for me too.
yeah, no, no, but I can
It's
agree with you.
pointless. It's stupid.
I think
It's not good.
I think they added the shark cage thing because of the no roof. And then with the no roof, they also added the stipulation that if you escape the cage, your team automatically gets eliminated or something like that.
Yeah, and that's stupid too.
But I mean, other than that, some they've had pretty decent matches. Other than that, they've had some
The
and
only one I really enjoyed,
mhm,
there was a moment in one of the ones where Pete Dunne did a spot with the shark cage deal that I liked.
mhm.
But the only one I really enjoyed, I think it was last year, the one where Rhea Ripley dominated the female one,
Oh yeah, yeah. No, that was
which I think
excellent.
was the first women's War Games match they've done, I think.
Yeah.
But that was really good. And then the men's one was just crap.
Yeah.
I
Now,
didn't care for it.
yeah. Now,
The other thing I don't
unfortunately,
like is how they have that metal piece now
oh,
in
oh,
between the two
oh,
rings.
yeah. No, I understand it though. I understand why,
I
but
get it, but one
it
of the
takes
most
it
iconic shots in the history of War Games, and we're getting way off topic with this,
when
but
somebody slips through.
one of the most iconic shots ever is 1992 Wrestle War
Yeah.
when Ricky Steamboat is holding Arn Anderson upside down and his head is in between the two rings.
Yeah.
And that is the most iconic shot, I think, in War Games history.
hmm Now here's the thing with war games with NXT now is that for the past couple years since it got brought back, it's the NXT pay per view before Survivor Series, and unfortunately due to
Well, isn't this year it happening after Survivor Series, though?
well I yes but the main reasons because of the COVID stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, it's because of the COVID stuff. So, instead of having the pay per view tonight, it would have to be as part of like a regular NXT taping or something. From what I understand, I don't know fully.
I don't know. I can't watch them anymore after the fiasco of Halloween Havoc. But anyway. So moving on, I'm cheating a little bit on number six.
All right,
I am picking four matches.
all right,
I'm I'm gonna go with the whole card, 1987, the first Survivor Series.
okay.
Every single match on this show, and it's criticized by a lot of people because they call it too long. No, this is the one Survivor Series show, the
Mm-hmm.
only one in history that actually feels like it's a real competition
Mm-hmm.
and that kayfabe's alive and well on it. And especially with the commentary with Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse Ventura and them constantly bringing that up about realisticness.
Mm-hmm.
Like about, because like in the tag match, well, we'll get to that in a minute. It starts off with Randy Savage's team versus the Honky Tonk Man's team.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really cool because throughout the whole match, there's like different spots that are going on with each guy during their feuds. So it's like continuing their feuds. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And it was really, really cool the way they did that, kept up with the feuds and everything. And you could really get excited about that. And like you wanted to see who was going to win that. And then Honky Tonk Man at the end, he just gets out of ring and leaves and gets himself counted out because he's got Jake Roberts, Randy Savage, and Ricky Steamboat still to deal with, and he's just like, "Forget this, I'm out of here." One thing I gotta mention:
Yeah.
when I watched this show live, and I had the tape for years from the live broadcast.
Yep.
I don't know if it was meant to be there or not, but there was a microphone under the ring. So every time the guys would hit the mat, which is all through the match, you hear this loud like drum noise. And I liked it. I thought, wow, that really is cool. It brings you into this.
Mm-hmm.
WWE Network has completely edited the sound out.
Mm-hmm.
And by doing that, they've also edited out the sound of the audience. Because I guess it's on the same mic or whatever, on the same audio track, but they've cut the audience. So throughout this entire night, with the exception of the main event, the whole audience sounds like they're dead and don't care about this event whatsoever.
Yep.
And it really ruins the show for me a little bit,
I mean, WWE always puts a mic under the ring. and I guess that if I remember correctly, because I was actually looking this up for some reason. Um, the mic under the ring is usually for the speakers, right? So that way, when somebody slams, somebody gets slammed or whatever, everybody in the arena hears it. It's not just like a little, from the
Well, this
from
is
the
every time somebody stomps the mat while they punch you and everything, you
yeah.
hear the drum.
Yeah, so I guess what happened was that they accidentally connected the mic to the production truck like where like the same mixer or something that where the commentators and the other mics are connected to, instead of because when they're doing production, there's there's separate mixers for different things, and then it gets all brought together. I guess it was connected to the wrong mixer, so when we were watching it, right, you hear it like that loudly, but it wasn't meant to be. So it's like, but they should have kept it. You're right. They should have kept
To me,
it.
I liked it though, and honestly, it just didn't feel like it didn't feel nostalgic to me because I'm so
Yeah.
used to it too.
Oh yeah, yeah. I agree.
And this show too, I gotta bring up too, since I'm bringing up '87, and this was the first one.
Hmm.
The whole reason why this was even created in the first place,
Hmm.
for those that don't know, is that Jim Crockett Promotions and the NWA were actually doing that night their show Starcade,
Yep.
1987. Starcade had originally started in '83. It was a yearly event, and Vince had a lot of pull with the pay per view networks because WrestleMania 3 was earlier that year, and let's face it, they drew 93,000 people, arguably, to the building, and they had a huge pay per view buy rate. So, and this was a big Starcade too, by the way. This was the one where the Rock and Roll Express was going to take on the Midnight Express the night of the Skywalker's match. This is where Jim Cornette broke his legs, uh, both his legs, coming off the scaffold and everything.
And Paul
It
Heyman
was,
chickened out.
yeah, and I mean, you had the steel cage match with Ric Flair and Ronnie Garvin for the title. Dusty Rhodes and Lex Luger were in a cage for the U.S. title, which is my favorite Dusty match of all time.
Hmm.
So Starcade had a huge lineup, and Vince was worried that this was going to kind of take away from WrestleMania 3.
Hmm.
So Vince went to the pay-per-view companies and kind of pulled a cheat saying, I'll create a brand new show to go on pay-per-view that same night, but I don't want you to air Starcade. I want you to air my show on your networks instead.
Hmm.
And if you don't, I'm not going to allow you to air WrestleMania 4,
Oh yeah.
which in hindsight might have been a good idea because WrestleMania 4 wasn't that great, but they were looking at it as, oh my God, WrestleMania 3 was so huge, biggest show we've ever had on pay per view for wrestling. And now he's threatening we're not going to get WrestleMania 4 if we don't air this. So a lot of the networks, they said the heck with it, and they got rid of Starcade, and they aired Survivor Series. This actually upset a lot of fans, too, because a lot of fans who had bought the pay-per-view thought they were buying Starcade,
Hmm.
because you got to remember, this is the old days. And you would have your cable guy come out and hook up a wire to your cable box the day of the event if you were going to buy the pay per view.
Hmm.
So these people knew Starcade was coming. They bought the pay per view thinking, okay, I'm getting Starcade. And then they tune in and they get Survivor Series.
Yep.
It's like Black Saturday, but worse because now you're paying money to get your not what you paid for.
Exactly.
And only a handful of providers actually carried Starcade. And then what the pay per view companies had to do, whether Vince liked it or not, because they had so many angry people that bought the wrong event,
Hmm.
they had to actually give away Starcade for free to those people because they already had paid for Survivor Series. So they got Starcade for free as it aired a month later on those channels.
Hmm.
But that was like, wow, the lines drawn. And this is, by the way, what led to Dusty getting his revenge, and we're going to talk more about that eventually when we talk about the Clash of the Champions. We are going to do a Clash of Champions show eventually,
Hmm.
but Dusty created the Clash of Champions to go head to head with WrestleMania 4
Yep.
on free TV
Yep.
So it would take people away from even buying wrestling for like, don't pay for wrestling. We'll give you a show for free on our network.
Exactly.
So that was his payback. So Vince calling foul on Clash of Champions is totally a jerk move on Vince's part because Vince started it with this.
Oh yeah, yeah. Vince likes to play the victim. He likes to play the victim. He starts something, he does something shisty and shady, and then he wants to play the victim when it's done back to him.
Yeah, and I mean the fact that he threw this show together at the last minute was clearly obvious
Yep.
because for one, it's 4 matches.
Yep.
Like every match is at least 20 minutes long. One of them is actually 40 minutes long.
Yep.
It's just like that's what I mean when people who complain about the show saying it's too long. But to me, no, it works. You know, it doesn't really drag too much. A couple of the matches drag here or there,
Hmm.
especially the 40-minute match, but it's still entertaining and there's enough spots to keep you interested. So even when you have a slow spot, it's going to pick up and it's worth it, you know?
Yep.
Which brings me to the second match on the card, which is probably one of the greatest Survivor Series matches. I would say right up there with that 2005 one, maybe even a little bit better.
Hmm.
And it shows that WWE again lies when they try to talk about the women's revolution, how nobody really cared about women's wrestling. It wasn't really that good or competitive.
Hmm.
Beg to differ. Watch this event as they have a women's elimination match for the Survivor Series 5-on-5 with Fabulous Moolah captaining her team of the Jumping Bomb Angels, Rockin' Robin and Velvet McIntyre taking on Sensational Sherry. I almost said Sensational Queen. She wasn't the queen yet.
Hmm.
But Sherry was the champion at the time,
Hmm.
the women's champion. And she had her team of Judy Martin and Leilani Kai, who were known as the Glamour Girls at the
Yep.
time, and they were the tag team champions. Yes,
Yep.
there were women's tag team titles before Bailey and Sasha won them.
Thank you.
Don't let everybody fool you on that one. And they also had the team of Donna Christianello and a different Dawn Marie that was not the Dawn Marie that everybody knows from ECW and later WWE.
Hmm.
This was a much different Dawn Marie, but this match is phenomenal. I mean, really phenomenal. There's so many spots I've never seen before. And Moolah kind of, you can tell, is getting very aggravated
Hmm.
because she's trying to, again, stronghold herself to still be that dominant person.
Yep.
And clearly, she's out of her league in this match. She can't keep up with the young girls. And then finally, she has letting the Glamour Girls double team her to eliminate her, which I was very surprised, by the way, that Moolah didn't want to stay on the winning team, that she actually agreed to let herself get eliminated.
Yep.
But I think part of that might have been because she couldn't keep up with the girls and felt the best way for her to keep up was to get eliminated.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'll tell you
But
this. I'll tell you this. Velvet McIntyre, she's such a sweetheart. Let's just say that.
well,
She,
Velvet McIntyre sadly is remembered basically for WrestleMania 2, her match with Moolah with her wardrobe malfunction that lasted 15 seconds,
yeah.
and her foot was on the rope even with the pin. And sadly, that's how people remember her. But no,
Yeah.
Velvet McIntyre was from Dublin, Ireland. They gimmicked her from, and she was basically Becky Lynch
Yeah.
before Becky Lynch.
Yeah. No, but
And
I remember because we know people. When I first met Velvet McIntyre, I mean she was such a sweetheart. She was a sweetheart to my daughter, right? And I asked her about certain matches, and it was just like I got to pick her brain for a bit, and I would, and I got to talk to Princess Victoria, Vicky Otis, to see if I can get her number, so that way maybe Princess Victoria and Velvet McIntyre, because they were tag champs, they were women's tag champs. Maybe I can get them on the show.
that would be awesome.
I mean,
Velvet McIntyre is one of my favorite women wrestlers
I
of all
agree.
time.
I agree.
She basically wrestled barefoot. She had like a half sock on
Yep.
each foot,
Yep.
but she was basically barefoot. But she does two moves in this match that's just like I've never seen before, and even Jesse Ventura is like losing his mind over it. Like She does a tilt-a-whirl high cross body.
Mm-hmm.
She leaps in the air for the high cross body, but as she lands it, she tilt-a-whirls her entire body back in a 360 format because she's back to where she was.
Yep.
And takes the girl down. I forgot who she did it to, but it's like, wow, I've never seen that to this day. I've never seen anybody do that.
I mean, a lot
And
of
then
people,
the other thing
they
she
like.
does,
Yeah.
no, go on.
No, I'm just saying, a lot of people they like to give credit to a lot of the women wrestlers now. Ever since the women's revolution in WWE or whatever, right? But you have to give credit where credit is due. And when you have somebody like Velvet McIntyre pulling those, oh my gosh, those spots off. Whew.
I'll tell you, the crowd was pretty much, they were into this match in the original broadcast on WWE Network, again, because of the mic being edited.
Yep.
You can't really tell.
Yep.
But even with the mic being edited, halfway through the match, the crowd is so into this, you couldn't even, like, not hear it, even with the mic being bad. It's just, they were so into this. And Velvet does this other move, which now is popularized by Cesaro.
Yep.
She does the swing.
Yep.
And she does it to Sherry Martel and spins her around and around and around. She hurts her back doing it, but
Yep.
it's a really cool spot. And the stars of this match, though, absolutely the Jumping Bomb Angels.
Yeah.
I remember even as a kid, my brother and I loved these girls. They basically, the only matches I remember them having in WWE was here, and they had a match that ended up airing on Superstars that I remember, and then they had the Royal Rumble match. I'm not sure if they had any besides those, but those are the only matches I remember. But these girls, they are definitely like, if you like Asuka and Kairi Sane and any of these girls, they stole this from the Jumping Bomb Angels.
Oh,
they were the originators.
I agree, definitely.
They're both crazy. They do the screaming spots. And they're just all over the ring. And even Jesse Ventura is like, these girls are amazing. They're flying all over the place, Gorilla. The moves they're doing is just crazy, and they're leaping off the top. They're running off the ropes, doing all these crazy spots. And then Jimmy Hart takes the best bump in the history of anything, and I don't know how he didn't crack his head open. He's standing on the apron, and the Bomb Angels come over, and they give him a drop kick, and he falls backwards, and he tries to catch the ropes with just his legs instead of anything else. And I'm like, oh my God, that's a dangerous bump. Jimmy could have killed himself. But it's a really good bump, and it looks amazing, and it just adds to this already phenomenal match. Like, I mean, Velvet McIntyre gets a pin over Sherry, and this was when Sherry was really good. Like, she was in tremendous shape, and she could wrestle, and it was pre-manager days, and oh man, just everything about this match. It's so good. I mean, the only ones that I would say didn't really do anything in the match, the Moolah kind of, but really the only two really that were bad was Donna Cristianello and Dawn Marie. Yeah. Neither one of them did anything in this match other than get eliminated. But yeah, then we go to the 40-minute match, and this is a cool concept, and they would redo this concept again the year after. I don't remember if they ever did it again after that, but it was 5 tag teams versus 5 tag teams. 10-on-10 Survivor Series tag match. Yep. And now they played this off, because as it was 40 minutes. It would have been even longer. If you get pinned, your teammate is also eliminated.
Yep.
Throughout the match, guys keep tagging just their own tag team partners. Jesse Ventura keeps commenting on that, though, at first, because the Young Stallions keep doing it, and he even quits pointing out that they're the underdogs because they don't know how tag wrestling is supposed to work. But really, when you pay attention, though, you see everybody's doing it that way. They're all tagging in their partners.
By the way, that's on my list.
What, this tag match?
Yeah.
Okay, well, see, there you go. I'm surprised that you would put this match over the women's match, but okay.
Well, actually, like you, the whole pay-per-view, the whole Survivor Series is on my list.
I can't not. Whenever anybody tells me what's the best Survivor Series, I instantly, not even hesitation, 1987.
Yeah.
It's just, it is.
Yeah, 1987 is
it's only 4 matches, and they're all tremendous for their own reasons.
Yeah.
This tag match, it drags a bit. I admit that.
No, I agree. I
But
agree.
there's so much good in this match. The British Bulldogs get their spots. The finish with the Killer Bees with the mask spot is great.
Yep.
Where the illegal man gets the pinfall and the referee doesn't know because of the masks. It's good. This was really the start of Strikeforce really becoming a big deal
Yep.
because Rick Martel was just out of he just worked WrestleMania with Tom Zink as the Can-Am Connection, and now he's got a new partner with Tito Santana and their Strikeforce, and so they were just kind of getting into this. The only team I'm going to say did not belong in this match, they didn't do anything whatsoever, was the
Mm.
Bolsheviks,
No, I agree.
Boris Zukov and Nikolai Volkov.
I agree.
It's forgettable they were even in the match. That's how bad they were in this match.
Because you had Demolition, you had the Bulldogs, the Killer Bees, the
The Hart
Rougeos.
Foundation.
Yeah, the Islanders. You know what I mean? It's like,
The Islanders, I was going to say for last because man, they are amazing in this freaking match,
oh yeah,
and it's really crazy. By the way, with Tama, that he's so thin here, and even at WrestleMania 4, he's still really thin.
yeah,
That's 88. Fast forward that to 1989 Halloween Havoc, which is just a year and a half later,
yep.
and he's huge. What happened?
Gain some weight. I don't know.
A lot of weight though. In a year and a half, he gained at least 200 pounds in that time, and it's crazy. He went from this skinny kid to this fat guy in less than 2 years.
Yep.
It's like, wow, what happened, dude?
I
I
don't know.
guess catering at the NWA was really good.
Right.
But he's still good.
No,
I
no, I
still loved
agree.
him as the Samoan Savage when he came to WCW as the Samoan Savage.
Mhm.
We talked about that on the Halloween Havoc show, even. But yeah, the Islanders steal the show in this match.
Oh
The only thing I had a problem with this match, really, way too many headbutts, man. These guys are crazy with all the headbutts.
yeah.
Like Dynamite Kid dropping the headbutt from the top. Tama's giving headbutts to everybody. Haku's giving headbutts to everybody. Brunzel's giving headbutts to everybody. Everybody's headbutting everybody.
This
I'm
was a
like, what's with all
headbutt
the
buffet.
headbutts?
This was a headbutt buffet.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. But
You know what I think?
that,
I think
and
the
of
main
course,
reason. Hold on. I'm sorry. The main reason for
okay,
the
go ahead.
headbutting. Yeah, the main reason for headbutting is because you had the Islanders, and the rule in professional wrestling, you don't headbutt, a Samoan.
Again,
Because
yeah, it's not even having that much of an issue with them. Like so many of the guys are not even selling that in this match, and I was like, why aren't they selling that more?
yeah, no, is this is like you often you all in the time of kayfabe, it's like you get an understanding of, okay, don't headbutt a Samoan. Then when this came about, and you see, wait a minute, what's going on? Are they losing their strength? Are they losing their superpower? As a kid,
Well, like at one point, Davy Boy headbutts, I think Haku,
yeah,
and Jesse Ventura is like, wow, that's the one guy that probably wouldn't feel the pain. He goes, I'll tell you one thing though, who would feel the pain is somebody who got in between that. They'd have their ears ringing from ear to ear. And then though they hit one guy and the guy does go down, and they're like, you see, that's how you can hurt them. It's like that.
yeah,
Because I remember they gave a double noggin knocker to the Islanders.
yeah.
He's like, that's how you hurt them by hitting them against each other. And then Gorilla Monsoon goes into this discussion about describing how it's like that move of giving them a double noggin knocker is the effect of a coconut dropping off the tree and hitting the ground and splitting open. I'm just like, there's a good analogy.
Right.
Yeah, then we go to Ted DiBiase, how he celebrates Thanksgiving, and it's just really funny. And he's giving flashbacks to everything he had done earlier in the year, like getting. Did we ever confirm that's Linda McMahon getting down on her knees, barking like the dog?
Hold on.
I know it certainly looks and sounds like her, but I've never heard confirmation that it really is her.
No, no. You know what? Let me look real quick.
but yeah, they basically they show that again. They show the little kid with the basketball, and they show all these different things. They show the swimming pool incident when he got all the kids out of the water to turn it into a private pool. He's just redoing this, and then he's driving around in this fancy car with this freaking fur coat and talking about how all of you on Thanksgiving you don't know how to live like the $1 Million Man. Because that was another thing. This was on Thanksgiving night. This was Thanksgiving Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a great way to celebrate Thanksgiving. Hey, Thanksgiving, have your food and then watch the Survivor Series. And for a while, Survivor Series would take place on Thanksgiving. A lot of times it would take place on the day before, on the Wednesday. And I like that better. I really liked watching Survivor Series during the week on Thanksgiving and everything.
Oh, yeah.
And I was really upset when they moved it to Sundays.
No, I agree.
But yeah, the main event for this match, for the show, was dubbed as the big time rematch between Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant from WrestleMania 3. Andre was going to have his team versus Hogan's team. And it was supposed to feature Andre the Giant, Butch Reed, King Kong Bundy, One Man Gang, and Rick Rude,
Mm-hmm.
who were going to be taking on Hulk Hogan, Don Morocco, or sorry, not Don Morocco, Bam Bam Bigelow, Ken Patera, Paul Orndorff, and superstar Billy Graham. And man, what a huge deal that would have been to have Hulk Hogan on the same team as superstar Billy Graham. Unfortunately, Billy Graham suffered an injury, and he was replaced with Don Morocco. And then eventually, Billy Graham would make his return in '88 at WrestleMania 4, even managing Don Morocco. And Don Morocco would come out with the tie-dye and try to do Billy Graham's gimmick a little bit, and it never really worked out for him. But this was still a tremendous match. And Hogan's eliminated very early on in this match, which was like a huge shock to everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
He gets counted out, of course, because he's not going to take a job. But it basically gets to the point where everybody's eliminated, except Andre is still there, Bundy's still there, the gang is still there, and Rude is still there. So it's 4-on-1. Mm-hmm. And who is that one, you may ask? It's the man who was put on the map on this show, Bam Bam Bigelow. Nobody really knew Bam Bam Bigelow at this point in 1988. Or 1987, sorry. A year later, he would go on at Starrcade, by the way, Starrcade 88, and have a great match with Barry Windham. But this was the show that put Bam Bam on the map. And unfortunately, he wasn't going to be sticking around for long. He did do WrestleMania 4. He had a horrible match with a one-man gang at WrestleMania 4, and then he would leave. And he did get himself in the WrestleMania video game for NES because of his performance here at this show. Mm-hmm. But he ends up eliminating everybody except Andre. He finally gets eliminated for Andre, but the whole crowd's cheering for him and all. They're like, at first they don't really care. They're like, who is this guy? And then when they see him eliminating Rude, and then he's eliminating Bundy, eliminates the gang, and he just keeps cartwheeling around the ring and doing all these crazy things. Yeah. This is Bam Bam's best match probably of his whole career. A close second for me would be the Shane Douglas match and then the Barry Windham match. But this is the match that put Bam Bam on the map and made people realize who this guy was.
I mean, he was an agile big man.
And you wouldn't have thought that. This is a match that was labeled Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant's rematch, and yet it becomes the Bam Bam Bigelow show, and Hogan's an afterthought. Mm-hmm. That in itself is huge. Bam Bam Bigelow.
The cartwheels made it into the game.
Yeah, absolutely. But Hogan can freaking sit there and say all the time how he's the best star and always was, but no. I think Hogan had to at least feel somewhat intimidated that Bam Bam stole the show from him.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so that's why I picked that whole show, because all four of those matches, they have this tremendous vibe, and I can rewatch that show and just enjoy it, you know? Mm-hmm. Number 5, I actually have to admit I'd never seen before last week.
All right.
I'd heard about it, never actually watched it.
All right.
Now I have, and it made it to number 5 on my list.
Okay.
Go figure. 1995.
All right.
Bret the Hitman Hart versus Diesel.
Okay.
My only problem with this match, there's a really dragged out spot where Brett is tying a microphone cable around Diesel's boot,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really a pointless spot. Nothing really comes out of it. Nothing important anyway.
Yeah.
So it really just took up a lot of time that didn't need to be there. But
If I
Brett,
remember correctly, Diesel no sold it. No sold that.
basically, yeah, he kind of sells that he's tied up when he
Yeah.
tries to move and can't. But
Yeah.
Brett takes the bump of the freaking year. Brett is on the apron, and this was the first real big table spot I think ever to happen in wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
It would be topped a year later at Mind Games when Mick went head first through a table, but Brett goes flying off the apron through a table, and these are not like the announce tables that you see now. They're breakaway, they're made to break. This
These
is
are
not one
actual
of those
folding
ECW
tables.
folding tables.
Yeah.
This is a hardwood, thick table, reinforced,
Yep.
and everything is still on the freaking table. They didn't take anything off it.
Yeah.
And Brett just goes flying, like not even hesitating through this freaking thing.
Yeah. I mean,
It looks really painful, man.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty much like a solid wood door with legs.
Yeah, and it's like, holy crap, Brett just freaking went through that table.
Mm-hmm.
It stands up there, probably in my top 3 best table spots I've ever seen.
I wonder if they gimmicked it so when it was gonna happen, like the announcers
Don't
kind
ruin
of
it.
like, you know what I mean? I'm not. I don't know, because you got to remember back then they really didn't gimmick too much things like they do
Yeah,
now.
especially when you didn't know a spot like that would be happening, you know?
You know, so it's like, I mean, if they didn't, then you know what? That must have been painful. That was
But
a
yeah, great
solid two
match.
inches.
And definitely the best match of Kevin Nash's career. And Kevin himself has admitted that. And it's true. He never had a match like this ever. So great work on that part for that.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4. This is a match that really upset me because the live crowd in Boston was booing it and chanting boring because they're a bunch of freaking idiots that don't know what wrestling is. This was a Southern wrestling match trying to invade the WWF. For the Smoky Mountain Wrestling Tag Team titles, the Rock and Roll Express versus the Heavenly Bodies, 1993.
Yes.
Now, later I'm going to talk more about why I'm so upset at how the crowd reacts, because when I get to my other list, that's not my top list, but my moments list, I'll get some more of that.
Yeah.
But this match is tremendous.
Mind you,
Jim Cornette's...
Hold on, I'm sorry.
Go on.
Mind you, they had to switch announcers.
Yes, that as well. Vince basically, I think didn't know how to call this match.
Yeah, because he doesn't know about
switched
Southern
over
style.
to the radio format with Gorilla Monsoon.
Yep.
Or he switched over with Bobby Heenan, rather, and they put Gorilla Monsoon and Jim Ross on commentary for this match.
Yep.
Because they knew Jim Ross would be able to call this match, and Jim Ross's commentary definitely does help this match out a lot.
Oh yeah.
The only thing I had a problem with is, why does he keep calling Ricky Morton a young man?
Well, what was he like he was like 35.
He was 37 here.
Yeah. He was 30. He's my age.
He's not a young man. Not enough to be called this young kid. You know?
I don't know. Maybe it's a Southern thing. I don't know. Maybe it's a Southern thing. I don't know.
I don't know, but oh my god, the spots in this match are tremendous. There's some dives to the floor, something that back then you didn't see too much.
No.
Jimmy Del Rey is great. There's a spot in this too I'd never seen before or after, where Ricky Morton's about to be thrown into the corner hard, so Robert Gibson puts his body over top of it to stop the bump.
Yeah, to protect him.
And then right after the body's trying to do it, it backfires on him. It's really funny.
Oh yeah.
But no, everything in this match is so well done. It's quality wrestling. There's some high flying maneuvers. There's a weapons spot with the Cornette's racket getting involved. It's got everything you can want in a wrestling match. How the heck can you chant boring when you got all that going on? You got high flying moves, you got dives to the floor, and it's boring.
Now here's the
Really?
thing when here's the thing when they brought in the racket, you know that and actually it reminds me because of the video that you sent me earlier. Uh, I know I one thing I didn't notice back then, but I notice it now because we know certain things. Uh, he he hit the guy with like the handle of the racket,
Yeah, and he
and
didn't really hit him. I know
yeah.
that.
Now here's the thing. It's like, now, when I was a kid and I saw this, I was like, why didn't he hit him with the actual racket part or whatever? And then of course knowing that from time to time Jim Cornette would put a brick inside the case, inside the racket case or whatever. Maybe that's why. I don't know. It's just like
Well, actually, the story here is that they loaded Jr.
yep.
on commentary says that Cornette loaded it. He corked the handle and loaded it up with something in the handle,
Oh well.
and that's how the Jim Ross played it off. Why he hit him with the handle.
Wow. Well, he knew Cornette, so
It was more than he could handle.
yeah.
But yeah, it was a great match, and the tag titles changed hands. The Smoky Mountain Wrestling tag team titles, and there's this great spot where, because in Smoky Mountain Wrestling they used NWA rules, where if you go over the top rope, it's disqualification.
Yep.
And at one point, Ricky Morton gets thrown over top, and Robert Gibson celebrates, thinking that they'd won and kept their belts, and then they find out, no, it's WWF, so you're not going to have that rule in effect.
Exactly. But I thought it was really cool crossover. The fact that with Jim Cornette, he made the deal with Vince.
Well, here's the even cooler part with the crossover.
Hmm.
Earlier that same exact year,
Hmm.
at WCW Slamboree,
Oh yeah, yeah.
the Heavenly Bodies wrestled the Rock and Roll Express.
Yep.
So this match literally took place. It's a Smoky Mountain Wrestling match that took place at both WCW and WWF pay-per-views in the same year.
Exactly.
So they got to cater this match to all three of their audiences.
Oh yeah.
That's cool.
Oh yeah. No. That's However, Jim.
I don't know any other match that could say it did that.
Oh yeah. However, Jim Cornette pulled that off. You got to admit, Jim Cornette, he's a good businessman.
Well, he pulled it off because in WCW at the time, Bill Watts was booking and he was working with Bill. Yep. But then Eric came in and killed the Smoky Mountain deal. And so then he went to Vince, and Vince was looking for a new manager. And so, hey, he said, I'll manage for you if you let me do cross promotions with Smoky Mountain.
Yep.
And Jim was using all his paychecks that he was making from managing to help fund Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
Exactly.
But yeah, it worked out perfectly for Jim Cornette, for Smoky Mountain Wrestling, and for the fans who were ready for real wrestling. Because to me, this was WWF needed wrestling, especially we'll get to that later of what else happened on this freaking show. But that stuff, man, that match was great. Like I said, it's number 4 on my list, so it's big. Number 3 does not get talked about enough, and it should. It's also monumental.
Mm-hmm.
CM Punk versus Alberto Del Rio, 2011.
All right.
This match is the start of CM Punk's long title reign. Punk won the belt from John Cena at Money in the Bank, of course, best pay-per-view of the year, and best Money in the Bank pay-per-view of all time.
Yep.
One of John Cena's best matches of all time. Punk won the belt, and then he lost the belt because at SummerSlam, after defeating John again, Del Rio came in and cashed in and won the belt. And then Punk would win it back here in a tremendous match, and in my opinion, Alberto Del Rio's best match of his career.
Yep. I agree with that.
All right, no arguments from me there. But yeah, this match is just so good, and again, it would lead to big things. This Punk would then hold the belt for all the way from Survivor Series 2011. He wouldn't lose it until the Royal Rumble in 2013. So, year and a half run almost for CM Punk on the title, and this was the start of it.
Give me 1 second.
Number
Keep
2.
talking.
Huh?
1 second.
Okay.
All right.
Number 2. Bret the Hitman Hart versus Shawn Michaels. And before any of you say it, no, I am not talking about Montreal. We will talk about that later, but that's not on this list. This is not 1997. And no, it's not 1993 either, which we will also talk about. Yes, Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, they had a lot of Survivor Series matches. This was their first. 1992. Oh my goodness, this match is tremendous. On so many levels, this match is tremendous. This match is Intercontinental Champion Shawn Michaels versus WWF World Heavyweight Champion Bret the Hitman Hart for the WWF World Heavyweight Championship. The Intercontinental Championship is not on the line in this match, so Shawn Michaels has everything to gain, and Bret Hart has nothing to gain. But these two stole the show. They put on a clinic. It's so good, and this, in my opinion, was the match that made Shawn Michaels a single star because Bret put him on the map as a single star in this match.
Which year was this one?
I'm talking about 1992.
Okay.
As I said, Shawn was Intercontinental Champion at the time. Bret was the World Champion at the time.
Yep.
So it was a big deal to have the champion versus champion, and these two just put on a solid wrestling match that is just so good.
I agree. I definitely agree.
And number 1, he appears a lot in this top 10 list, if you notice. Number 1, Bret Hart is back. This time, it's 1996, and Bret Hart is working a match with Stone Cold Steve Austin. This match, now, Bret and Austin, when people think of them, they always think of WrestleMania 13, the I Quit match, and let's face it, it's a tremendous match. It definitely needs to be brought up all the time, but this was a different style match. This is just two guys going at it in a solid wrestling match. There is some hardcore level to it as well, not as much as we would see at WrestleMania, of course, and no crazy blood spot like we'd see at WrestMania. But Jim Ross even keeps mentioning during this match, I'd see this match gonna end in a submission after a while, and he kind of like is foreshadowing the submission match, which I laughed too because during this Austin uses a whole bunch of submission moves, but then at WrestleMania a few months later when they have the submission match, Austin says, "I don't even have a submission move in my arsenal." Well, what the heck did you use at Survivor Series? I saw a whole bunch of them.
And
but this match is really so good.
Me. No, that was the thing that really surprised me in this match was because, you don't, you never seen Stone Cold really, use any kind of submission. He was just a ground and pound type of guy, as far as this version of him. You know what I mean? And to see him, use any form of submission was like a shocker. I mean, that really surprised the heck out of me, man.
Yeah, the thing that's crazy in this match, though, is a bump that Bret takes. Go figure. Bret taking a crazy bump. Just talked about the one in 95 even.
Right.
But Austin throws Bret across the ring, and Bret tries to slide out of the ring, and he ends up going sternum first right into the steel ring post.
Yep.
And it's like, ow, that looked painful.
Oh, yeah.
It's just crazy that Bret takes these bumps that look, it's like he's the guy who invented the front buckle bump, taking it from before it. And then Owen Hart would also pick that up from Bret. But, man, Bret is just on fire with these bumps, and they look so painful, and they help the other guy get over it by doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, keep in mind, this was Madison Square Garden, so that automatically adds to the match because the crowd is red hot and they're smart fans for the most part.
Yep.
So, yeah, everything about this match was just so good, and it made you crave more of Austin and Bret, which we would get a few months later at WrestleMania. But this is the best Survivor Series match, in my opinion. So what else was on your list that I did not get to?
All right. Let me get it out.
All right. And we'll see if any of them are on my notes for ones that I was going to go over when we get there, but we'll see.
Right. All right, so obviously, we mentioned 1987. Okay, we mentioned
Hmm.
1987, and that would be on the bottom tier of my list. Even though all the matches are good, but it's like the main reason why I remembered it in the first place was because of the 20-man tag team elimination match. You know what I mean? Because it was the most people ever. They still, as far as I know, there
Well, like I
hasn't.
said, they did that same concept. That format was also done in '88.
Yeah, but it was like after that, it hasn't been done since, from what I can tell. Um, number two, and a lot of people they're gonna they'll disagree with me. They'll think it should be higher, um, so it actually goes from number five because I got five matches that I put down. I didn't do no 10. So number five
Okay.
would be yeah, number five would be 1987. Number four, it would be 1990, the Million Dollar Team versus the Dream Team, and this is the debut of the Undertaker. Okay.
Which was going to be listed in my notes, so we'll cut that out and talk about that now. Then
All right. So okay, number one, this was in my hometown, Hartford, Connecticut, at what was not known as the Hartford Civic Center. I mean, you had the Million Dollar Team, which it was the Honky Tonk Man, Greg Valentine, Ted DiBiase, of course, and of course, with the Undertaker making his debut. And nobody, like they were teasing, hey, we're gonna have a surprise and blah 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 and all of that. And then here comes this guy, the Undertaker. And at the time we were like, who the heck is this guy? We thought it was gonna be somebody big or whatever, you know what I mean? And I mean I thought it was
oh, he was big.
yeah, well, it was gonna be like a name, you know what I mean? But we didn't know
Roddy
that.
Piper had the line of the night when he comes out and he sees the bags under his eyes and goes, "We need a little night time, no way."
Right. And if I would have known then what I know now as to how big the Undertaker was gonna be, I would have, definitely.
30 years ago, by the way.
Yeah. So it's one of those things, man. It's one of those things where, okay, if on the Dream Team with Bret Hart, Dusty Rhodes, Coco Beware, and
Well,
Jim
Taker
Neidhart.
had an amazing spot in that match with Dusty Rhodes, and
Oh yeah.
he recently told the story even that he was like not wanting to do it because Dusty's a legend. Dusty told him, "No, man, do it, do it."
Yeah. Yeah.
And sadly, right before that match, earlier that day, Bret Hart's brother passed away.
Yep.
So Bret actually wanted to do something to tribute his brother, and obviously, what are you gonna really do? Bret was supposed to be one of the first guys eliminated,
Yep.
and instead they let Bret stay in a little bit longer. And Ted has DiBiase has a great spot with Bret, where he like really oversold for Bret and everything, just to try and help Bret look good, so Bret could do some kind of little tribute to his brother.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just figured I'd throw that in there,
Oh, hey.
but
Hey. No, now I think the thing that really kind of impressed me at the time with the whole Undertaker debut was you got to remember Jim Neidhart. He was known to just take anybody down. They get this spot where the shoulder tackle in the middle of the ring, and you know what I mean. And normally Jim Neidhart would just run somebody over, and in this one, Jim Neidhart he was like, Undertaker just stood there, and even the announcers they were shocked, they were surprised because oh my gosh, you know he can't be moved, he's an immovable force. He's like, it was just like they were just really selling it big time. You know what I mean? So it was one of those things that for me it was just like as the match progressed, I was like, wow, this guy is gonna dang, like wow, it really impressed me.
well, it
And
was rumored too that Undertaker was going to be the guy to debut in the Egg
yeah, that was
because that was the same show as the Gobbledygooker.
yeah. Yeah,
And if you don't know
he
who the
was at.
Gobbledygooker is, go and
Look it up.
check out my At the Movie show from yesterday, because there is a scene of the Gobbledygooker after the credits.
Yeah, the Undertaker was free, and that was the thing. The Undertaker in a shoot interview he did, and he also did an I forgot, it was at a church that he was a guest speaker on. He was talking about that. He was talking about the how he was like, he saw WWF. They were doing this egg thing, and then he gets the call that Vince wants him in. He's like, "Oh no, that's gonna be me. I'm gonna be the Eggman. I'm gonna be Eggman." And so he had to psych himself up for a
Yeah,
long
Mick Foley
time.
told the same story on the Legends Roundtable that Taker had told him they want to make me Eggman. What? I'm gonna be Eggman, but apparently no, they never had plans to make him
Yeah,
Eggman. And
but I mean, he
Vince
was
told him,
yeah at that point.
Vince called him up and said, "Hello, is this the Undertaker?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "What's the Undertaker?"
Yeah, no, but it was funny. It was funny because it's like when Taker tells the story, he talks about how eventually he's like, well, you know what? He had to psych himself up. You know what? I'm gonna be Eggman. I'm gonna be the best Eggman ever. Yeah, bring on Eggman.
Doctor Eggman from
Yeah,
Sonic the Hedgehog.
right.
That was during that time frame too, man.
Yeah. No, but it just in retrospect and knowing the details behind it now, it's funny that he goes from thinking
I
he's
love
gonna be the
to
Eggman.
when Gooker comes out and Piper's like, "Look at the kids, they love him." And the next shot we see is a little kid in the front row flipping off the Gooker. It makes me laugh every time because Piper's commentary could have been better timing on
Oh
that.
yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. And then what was it? It was Hector Guerrero. He was the Cooker.
Yeah, Hector Guerrero was the original one, and then as a funny deal,
Yep.
when they did the Gooker in the gimmick battle royal, I forgot which Guerrero it was, but it was another Guerrero who
Hmm.
played the role
I think
in
it was.
honor of Hector being the original.
I think no, it wasn't Mondo.
I
Was it?
don't remember who it was, but it was a different Guerrero in the suit for the Gooker in the gimmick battle royal. And then they once did the Gooker was Maurice.
Yeah.
She was the Gooker once too.
Yeah, and then you wonder why the Cooker had nice legs.
Oh God. Well, Bobby Heenan had that line in the gimmick battle royal
Yeah.
about how her legs looked like his ex-wife.
But yeah, no, I mean that would be number four
Like when
on my
she comes
list.
out, he looks at Gene Okerlund. He goes, "Then you date her."
Oh my god. Okay, okay.
There's great stuff with that, man. As bad as the Gooker is,
Yeah.
it come on, it led to some hilarious stuff that we'll all never forget. I remember watching that live. I can honestly say when I watched that show live, I actually enjoyed the Gooker. I thought it was cool. I was one of the few little kids that actually enjoy it.
No, I mean,
I
I
thought it
mean,
was the
so I mean,
coolest thing
so was
ever. They had this
I.
giant turkey.
No, so was I. I was expecting, like, personally, I was expecting some kind of weird alien type thing or whatever. But no,
Well, what
here's a
the heck is
turkey.
with Gene Okerlund, though? Who could be in this thing, we wonder? Could it
Yeah.
be the Playmate of the Month?
Right.
Really?
No, and then
She's
of
going to
course,
climb out of an egg?
of course, you got the Gooker and Mean Gene. They're doing the a do do in the ring and they're dancing and oh my god.
And, they did their job, though, because they booked that egg for months.
Yep.
And people actually did buy the pay-per-view just to see who was going to be in the egg.
It was funny
So
because
it did its job.
no, it was funny because and like we excuse me, like we talked about in previous podcasts, right? We would see it with my cousins, right? We would see the pay-per-views with my cousin at my uncle's house or something like that. And the only
Mm-hmm.
thing that my cousins could talk about would be like, "What's in the egg? What's in the egg? What's in the egg? Oh my gosh, what's in the egg? Oh my goodness, what's in the egg? Ah, and here comes the cooker, and they're disappointed. In the meantime, I'm laughing because it's a giant turkey.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
I still don't know what the heck was going through the minds at the time when they came up with this, but
Right.
I was gonna segue, so I'm gonna do it and then go back to your list in a minute, only because it's an important segue that's
Uh-huh.
kind of ruined now because we just talked about Taker's debut.
Uh-huh.
But next on my notes after that, and then we'll backtrack after your list.
Uh-huh.
But 1 year later at the Survivor Series, Taker goes from debuting in 1990, and in 1991 he wins his first ever world title by beating Hulk Hogan of all people. And this wasn't a bad match.
Well, you took my number three. with that one.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. But I was,
But let's
like
talk
I said, I
about it.
wanted to segue it because of the whole debut, and then 1 year later where he ended up.
Yeah, no, no, that's the reason why that's in my number three. Not number, not, it should be higher, but that's number three because, like you said,
Well, it didn't make my top 10, so you said it should be higher. It didn't even
yeah,
make my list.
yeah, no, but the fact that he won his first world title and a year later beating Hogan.
With Ric Flair's help.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, okay. What was as a Hulkamaniac, right? As a Hulkamaniac as a kid, was I upset? Yeah, I was extremely upset. Ric Flair goes in there, he slides in the steel chair, he does the tombstone to Hogan, wins it 1, 2, 3, whatever. But it's the fact that he won his first world title a year later, and it's like you can kind of see the wheels turning in this where this
Well,
guy.
5 days later on pay per view,
Yep.
Hogan would win it back.
Oh yeah. No,
Which is crazy too. There were people talk about now pay per views being like too many of them. They had a pay per view 5 days after the Survivor Series.
and the crazy thing is that how now with WWE on the network they'll do like a big pay per view like Survivor Series or whatever. Then they do like kind of like a test pay per view where all it is a glorified house show, so they don't bring like good cameras or anything.
Yep.
This was the same thing. This was like a glorified house show, and they
Well,
used.
this Tuesday in Texas was actually a pretty decent show though, because you had Hogan and Taker's rematch,
Mhm.
and you had Jake the Snake versus Macho Man.
No, yeah, no, I agree. It was good, but I was just saying it was
Which
the
I gotta
setup.
say, man, the Hogan and Taker match at Tuesday in Texas, not
Yep.
the Survivor Series one.
Mhm.
It's really like morbid. First off,
Yep.
Hogan opens the urn,
And uses
takes
the
out dirt, not
yeah.
ashes. Who the heck has dirt in an urn? They had black dirt,
Well,
and he
yeah,
throws it in Taker's eyes.
for kayfabe, let's say ashes.
And then they ruin it too because '94 Raw Rumble, when they open it and the green smoke comes out, and
Yeah.
it's like, how come that didn't happen when Hogan opened that?
You know what? If they were smart enough, they could have done something where they said, well, Hogan desecrated the urn, and now like the spirit of the person that's in there is angry. That's why you see the green smoke or something. They could have done something with
I still wonder how that green smoke was in there because there was a lot of smoke in that thing.
it. They must have used like a green liquid with dry ice or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I know, but there was so much smoke. It was like coming out for like 10 minutes.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was
It was a
crazy.
while before it all came out. It's like, wow, what is that?
Oh yeah, it was
And
crazy.
then the stuff was coming out of the casket too. And then literally the new urn that they brought back, which was the freaking one that was gigantic.
Wasn't that like a
in
flashlight?
19, and it had a flashlight inside
Yeah.
it. Every time the Taker would win a match after that, like you know that Survivor Series, we'll get to that in a minute, but
Hmm.
Survivor Series '94,
Yep.
Paul Bearer opens it up again, and it's the flashlight again. And what's with the flashlight?
Yep. I think
But
well, you got to
anyway,
remember at the
continue
time.
your list.
Okay, okay. Well, because now we're talking about '94, even though not the match that I'm going to mention.
I was going to go
But
back to '94 in a bit because we have a lot to talk about with '94.
okay,
So for now, just go on with your
all right.
list.
All right. So my number two, and I'll say why this is number two is mainly because of the dramatic feel that it gave. It would be the 1994 Bob Backlund versus Bret
We're
Hart.
back on '94.
Right, Bob Backlund versus Bret Hart, 1994, throw in the towel submission match.
Wow, you like that match?
Well, like I said, it's because of the dramatic effect that
That match is so bad. I can't. I didn't even put it in my notes, so we could
Well,
talk about it because it's
well,
not even
it's
on my
again,
notes.
it has nothing to do with the actual match itself. It's more of
I'm not even talking about the match itself. I'm talking about what you're talking about.
okay,
Owen Hart, right?
yeah, yeah.
Oh my god, dude, it's so annoying because it's dragged on way too long.
Wait, okay, I need you to understand this, okay? This was November 23rd of 94, okay? November 23rd is my mom's birthday, all right? Um, and at the time, me and my brother, we didn't get along too well because he was, for a long time, the way my brother was, okay? Now, here's the thing. The dramatic feel of, you got Bret Hart facing this guy, and then his younger brother coming in and lying to mom or trying to make her feel bad. Come on, throw in the towel,
He's
throw in the
hurting,
towel.
Mom.
Yeah.
Throw in the towel. Look at your baby boy. Oh
Yeah,
God.
yeah. So it's like, so for me, it's like that's something my brother would have done if we were in that position. Again, this is like the kayfabe era of like whatever.
I
So
know.
yeah, and the fact that it was happening on my mom's birthday too. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh my gosh. I was like crying like a baby, like that.
Well, we can agree to disagree. I remember as a kid, even I was like, "This is so cringy and annoying." Honestly, the Brett Owen feud was terrible in my opinion. I love their match at WrestleMania 10.
Mhm.
I hate the cage match at SummerSlam. I know everybody loves that freaking match. It's sacrilege to badmouth it, but it's a terrible match in my opinion, and this is even worse.
Well, for me, again, it's number two, but just for different reasons. For different reasons. All right, number one, it has to be mentioned, and I know a lot of people don't like it. Some people do. It has to be 97 Montreal Screwjob, Brett versus Sean.
Well, we were going to get to that, so we may as well get to it now. It's in my notes, but let's go on it now.
I mean, the match itself.
I can't believe that's number one on your list, though.
Well, I mean, and again, it's for my list is not for the same reasons why you put your stuff on your list, right? So
Right,
for
I got it,
Yeah,
but
so
it's
for
just
me,
surprising.
yeah, no, for me it's number one, and the reason why is okay. Number one, it was a decent match in my opinion. It was a decent
Oh,
match.
it's a great match up
I mean,
until
it
the
was,
finish.
yeah, and I mean, they were going at it like crazy. They were going at it like crazy. I mean, it was well,
Crowd's red hot.
yeah,
Jim Ross is
exactly,
red hot on the
exactly.
on the mic.
Yeah. So I mean, and then on top of that, when the whole Montreal screw job, when all that happened, everything that happened after that, that brought in, the Mr. McMahon era. If it wasn't for the Montreal screw job, McMahon wouldn't have come up. If the Montreal screw job didn't happen, if everything would have happened the way that they agreed to with Brett, we wouldn't have gotten the whole Mr. McMahon thing. And then of course, after all of the stuff that happened after, where Stone Cold is like, the Stone Cold era of being the first guy to really you know, be at it with his boss and this, that, and the other, and a whole bunch of other things. You know what I mean? I think that the Montreal people don't give the Montreal Screwjob enough credit as far as creating
See,
that.
in my opinion,
Mhm.
um, I think that that's WWE trying to rewrite history, and you're falling for that too. Mr. McMahon, the heel Mixture McMahon, was already being created before Montreal. It really started at the Royal Rumble in '97 when Brett came up after getting eliminated by Austin and started grabbing at Vince. What are you gonna do about that? And Vince's like, "What do you want me to do?" And that's where he started kind of putting him in there. And then the next month, when he had the cage match on Monday Night Raw, where he shoved Vince down and told him about how everybody in that dressing room knows that I'm the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be, and he's like going crazy about how this is bull crap. And Vince was kind of starting to show some of the Mr. McMahon character during that before Montreal
I
even
don't
actually
know.
took
I don't know.
place.
I don't know.
That's
Because
why. See, these
again,
are the
personally, I
arguments I
don't.
used to use for many years as to why I believed Montreal was a work because it fit in with what was already going on.
Well, you got to remember,
You know,
like me personally, as far as because you're talking about like that's a narrative that McMahon, like I don't know about that because I
in my
don't.
opinion, even if Montreal wasn't a work,
Mhm.
Vince should have made it one because that would have been the key way to do it too. That Brett keeps grabbing me, Brett keeps throwing me down, so I'm getting back at him.
No, yeah, but again, like I said, like
He's gonna accuse me of screwing me
no,
because
but
remember Brett used the word "screwed." Even remember,
mhm.
I've been screwed by the World Wrestling Federation. I've been screwed by Shawn Michaels. I've been screwed by everybody.
All I gotta
And
say, if this was a big, huge work that's been kept secret for years, you know, they did an excellent job. But
like I said, it's got all the key elements to being a work.
yeah, no, but again, like I wasn't thinking that at the time. I'm going back to what I was thinking at the time, not with with the possibilities now or whatever. I'm saying me personally, to what I was thinking at the time, and then as and then as I, as I saw certain things happen, even when I was, working in the ring and all of that, it's like, shoot, you know what? Like because I like personally, I didn't notice McMahon. Like I saw Brett, attacking McMahon, but I didn't even think McMahon had any. I was like, again, I was still kayfabe. I wasn't smart to the business.
Well, he didn't
And
attack McMahon at that show at
no,
the
what I'm
Montreal
saying,
Screwjob.
no, I'm saying, actually he did backstage, but I'm talking about on camera beforehand.
Backstage, he did, yeah, but
Yeah,
no, on camera, he didn't.
but what I'm saying on camera, when like you said, the Royal Rumble and this and the cage match and whatever, like, okay, I saw that, and McMahon was with, again, this is me still in kayfabe mode, thinking it's all real, whatever. I still didn't see McMahon like reacting, in my opinion, at the time. Like I didn't see him reacting to a point of, hey, I'm gonna get back, whatever, whatever. This is, I just thought, hey, why is he attacking McMahon? McMahon is not the boss. He's just a commentator. That's what So, but so for me, as far as the Mr. McMahon character, the heel character, because of my own personal experience, that is right there. That's where it started in that time frame you know and even if it started beforehand, but still, to bring it out in that time frame, whether it was a work or not, uh it was that perfect timing, because again, going forward, when you have, Steve Austin, and you have, later on with CM Punk, and even with Triple H, and basically humiliating or attacking the boss or whatever. I mean, that wouldn't have happened if at that time McMahon did not choose to be like, no, you screwed Brett, or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like it was at that perfect time. But again, it's not because, like, you noticed whatever beforehand. I didn't notice that. So for me, I was like, wait a minute, McMahon's the
Well,
boss. He
that
knows it.
night, I remember when I was watching it live,
Hmm.
and I remember even not thinking anything huge of it. I was like watching it, and I saw that happen, and I just thought storyline as usual because again, I had already seen all that stuff with Brett and Vince, and now this was just the next chapter of that. I didn't think anything of it until the next day
Hmm.
when I went to school and everybody was making a big deal of this, and I'm like, did I miss something? What was the big deal? And I even went home and watched my tape again, and I was like trying to analyze it, and I was still seeing it as this is an angle.
Well, here's the thing
it
too.
wasn't
Here's the thing
it
too
wasn't
is
ever
that,
clicking with me ever.
yeah, well, for me, I think what really drove it home, and I think with a lot of other, again, what really drove it home with a lot of other, kids our age at the time, was that right there, he spits in McMahon's face, and then and in the air he writes WCW. Like we
Yeah,
could have.
as the camera cut off as he did that too. And that was the
No,
thing
no,
though.
I actually saw him do it, the whole thing. The
Yeah,
camera
right
shut down.
after he does it, the camera cuts off, I'm
Okay.
saying.
Yeah, but still, it's the fact that he did it, and it's like, you're
See,
wondering,
that was
is he
also what
going to
made me think it was
WCW?
fake, though, because why would they let that get on camera?
But yeah, but again, as a kid, not not smart to the business. How do I know?
Oh, you were older than me, and I figured it out. I was already like skeptic, I guess, even back then of things. I don't know,
Yeah, no, for
but
me, no, for me, because again, my life being different in the way that it was, professional
and then the
wrestling was a
next
great
day,
escape.
WCW does their deal where Hogan's just talking about him and Bischoff's talking about having Canada Day, and like they want Bret Hart to join them,
Yeah, no,
but
for
Bret
me,
Hart ain't even there.
no, yeah, no, yeah, but like I said, for me, as a kid with, and some of my history and what have you, is that professional wrestling was a great escape. So kayfabe was very
Yeah,
much on the
absolutely, and
table.
I'm the same way with you on that one.
But and so for me, it was like when he did the WCW thing and all that, it was like, a lot of kids were like just like me and that way of thinking of, wait a minute,
Well,
WCW,
you know
what?
what further made me feel it was a work?
Hmm.
And I'm going ahead of my notes and then I'll backtrack my notes after, but it
Hmm.
goes with that. It was my segue into it.
Hmm.
A year later, in 1998, they redid the whole screw job angle exactly the same with Mick Foley.
Yep.
Same exact thing. Rock puts Mankind in the sharpshooter. McMahon calls for the bell, and they screw Mick Foley out of the world title.
Hmm.
And it's the exact same thing. So when I saw that, I said, "See, it's an angle. They're even doing the same exact angle now."
Yeah. Well, I
And
mean,
then they would do it years later with Shawn Michaels
well,
too, but that was not even
I mean,
acknowledged.
as here's the thing is that I've heard a lot of shoot interviews with a lot of different guys, and when talking about them redoing it with Mick Foley and then Shawn Michaels, it was kind of like, first of all, a year later with Mick Foley, it was kind of like a big middle finger to Bret Hart. It's like flipping Bret Hart the bird of, hey,
Yeah, because it was exactly a year after it happened.
exactly. Now, as far as the thing with Shawn Michaels, I think it was more of, I think they were like, like kicking the dog
Like
while it was
joking.
down. Either joking around or kicking, still kicking the dog while it's down type of deal. Like kind of like a reminding Brett, hey, look what we're doing. Now we're doing it with the other guy, but this time is not real. We're just, F you type thing. You know what I mean? It was just, and and from everything that I've heard about McMahon, not just the good but the bad, it's like that's his way of thinking.
Well, the
He's
interesting
petty.
thing was that Cornette wrote the screw job idea,
Hmm.
but he didn't. He got it from an old wrestling book, and it actually the first screw job happened, the one that he pitched to them the idea.
Yep.
The first one happened in Montreal,
Yep.
so it
I
was
remember
like,
Cornette.
wow,
I remember Cornette talking
same
about it.
place.
Yep. That's crazy. Now I remember I remember hearing Cornette talking about it. Oh, so it happened in the first one happened in Montreal. Okay. Oh man. Now
All right,
that's
so
the
you ready
only
for our year by year to cover in what we did not yet talk about?
Okay. No, no, I was just
All
gonna
right, so
say,
we'll,
is that
okay.
maybe, I was gonna say if it is an angle, that's probably why, to kind of be like, hey, we're doing it again, but in the same place.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just, I don't know. It's hard to believe that it wasn't an angle.
Yeah.
But we talked about 1987 in full. So moving on to 1988. Again, we're only going to go by highlights. And if you have any highlights to add that I don't mention, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
But 1988, to me, the only thing noteworthy
Mm-hmm.
is during the 20-man tag that they did,
Yep.
there was a huge double turn that took place. As on the heel side in this match, the Demolition come out with Mr. Fuji, and the Powers of Pain are on the babyface side.
Mm-hmm.
And during this match, Fuji gets knocked down. The Powers of Pain go to help him, and Demolition turns babyface, and the Powers of Pain turn heel during this match.
Yep.
And it's like, wow, it's a good double turn. It's not as good as the one with Austin and Brett, of course,
Mm-hmm.
but it was a good double turn. And
Yeah.
to me, that's the only noteworthy thing on 88. Do you have anything to add to 88?
Nope. I agree with you on there.
89. 89 is a pretty bad one. The one thing I note on 89 is Zeus. And the reason is one, because I like Zeus, as you know, but
Yeah.
also Hogan doesn't sell for anybody in this match except Zeus.
Yep.
And it just like mind boggled me that like they made Zeus look like $1,000,000 in this freaking match, and nobody else was allowed to look good at all. Again, and Hogan himself even goes all the way the distance in this match after his beatdown of Zeus, and
Yeah.
it's like, really,
Well,
Zeus doesn't even like get pinned. Zeus gets
Yeah.
disqualified
Yeah.
for like he breaks Hogan's neck supposedly, and then he's choking him out, and they have to disqualify him.
Well, you know how it is. Hogan always sells for the actors.
Yeah, I mentioned it many times in the past as well.
You know, that's why
90
I'm
we
saying it.
covered.
I'm repeating it because it's true.
Was there anything else in '89 that you wanted to make note of?
No, no. Go ahead.
I
I'm
do have
probably
one
not gonna
other note
mention
of
anything.
'89 actually.
What?
'89 opened up with the guys talking about what they're thankful for, and Dusty Rhodes. Do you know where I'm going with this?
I believe so. Go ahead.
Dusty Rhodes, when they are going through, I'm thankful for my snake, is Jake the Roberts and all. They're all giving what they're thankful for. And Dusty Rhodes goes, I'm thankful for my polka dots. By the way, '89 is also the debut of Sapphire, but she's not yet with Dusty.
Mhm.
She's sitting in the audience, and they announce her as, well, there's a crazy fan in the front row who's a huge Dusty Rhodes fan. Look at all the polka dots she's wearing. And she would later be revealed as Sapphire.
Mhm.
Uh, if you got nothing to add on '89, we already talked about '90
Mhm.
and '91.
Yep.
Because, yeah, '91, the only noteworthy thing was Taker and Hogan.
Mhm.
92, the only noteworthy thing was Brett and Sean to me, and we already talked about it.
Mhm.
I don't think we need to talk about nails, or
No. No. Nothing.
definitely don't need to talk about Yokozuna versus Virgil.
No.
So, moving on to 1993.
Yep.
There's a couple things here. We already talked about the Heavenly Bodies versus the
The Rock and Roll Express.
the Rock and Roll Express, and I mentioned how it upset me how the crowd chanted boring.
Yeah.
And I'll get to in a minute what they didn't think was boring. But first, let me say Ray Combs. I forgot Ray Combs was on this show from Family Feud.
Yep.
I remember Ray Combs being at the 1992 WrestleMania 8.
Yep.
Do you realize he does a lot of the same jokes here, just with different guys?
Yeah.
He says that he went to the crowd and did a survey, which is what he did in '92, but the survey gave us same answer as they did at WrestleMania 8, and that's a little far-fetched to me.
Mhm.
And then he goes on to badmouth Shawn Michaels' mother, saying Shawn Michaels' mother is so ugly and everything, and it's like, wow, that's kind of wrong.
Yeah.
Like,
I
leave
mean,
Shawn's mom out of this,
yeah.
you know?
Exactly. Like, don't take it out of the kayfabe. Don't take
And
it
he
out of
adds
the.
nothing to the commentary booth either, by the way.
No.
He did commentary with Bobby Heenan and Vince McMahon and added nothing.
Yeah.
So I kind of thought Ray was out of place on this show.
No, I agree. I agree. I mean, that's the risk that Big Man runs when he brings in celebrities from other areas. Is that if they don't mesh well with the product, it's just not gonna bring anything to it. It's
Well,
like,
even on commentary, because Vince is on commentary, and he seems to be getting annoyed with Ray, too, during it.
oh yeah, you can hear it in his voice.
You can hear it in his voice, his tones.
He's like, he's just annoyed. He's just like kind of like, shut the heck up already.
So the Harts are scheduled, the Harts being Bret Hart, Owen Hart, Keith Hart, and Stu Hart.
Bruce.
They're scheduled to wrestle Jerry the King Lawler and the Knights.
Bruce, not Stu.
Oh, sorry, yes. Wow. There's a script. Stu is in their corner now. But and they have many Harts in the audience, by the way. We see Martha Hart holding up Oj, Owen's son.
Yep.
And he's like really young there, and we see Georgia sitting there, and a whole bunch of the Harts are in the
Front row.
audience for this. But they were supposed to wrestle Jerry the King Lawler and his Knights, and this was when Jerry Lawler had the incident with the 15-year-old girl.
Yeah.
And so they took Jerry Lawler off the show, and they decided, well, Shawn Michaels was in a feud with Brett before, so let's throw Shawn Michaels in this.
Mm-hmm.
But he still got his Knights, so that makes a lot of sense, right?
Mm-hmm. It makes perfect sense. Shawn Michaels, who's not royalty.
I know. Why does Shawn Michaels have Knights? And then apparently Terry Funk was supposed to be one of the Knights, but he
Yeah.
didn't want to do it, and so he got replaced with Barry Horowitz.
Well, I think the only I think one of the many, because I know there's a couple reasons why, but I think one of the many reasons is that because it was Shawn Michaels that replaced his buddy Jerry Lawler, and Jerry and Terry, they have a long history together, in
Yep.
wrestling. So it's kind of like, well, he's not in it, I'm out. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and he gave the excuse that it was because his horse was sick and he had to go and take care of his horse.
Yeah.
It's just in itself that's
And
hilarious.
and you know what? At the time in WWF's storyline, I guess that makes sense. I don't know.
Earlier in the night, by the way, Randy Savage was brought onto this show to be a replacement for Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect,
Yep.
who had suffered an injury.
Yep.
So that was a replacement, and now we got a second replacement with Shawn Michaels replacing Jerry Lawler.
Yep.
This match is actually really good, though. The only problem I have with it is Bruce.
Yep.
Bruce was like really mad because originally Vince had pitched for Bruce to be the guy to have the feud with Brett,
Yep.
and Brett pushed for it to be Owen,
Mm-hmm.
and Bruce was really upset. So Bruce tried to steal the show in this match
Yep.
to try and get noticed by Vince so Vince would sign him, and in reality, it did the exact opposite.
Yep.
It showed Vince that, Bruce is not a professional and can never work for the company.
Exactly.
So Bruce buried himself. Bruce would do the same thing, by the way, when they did the Calgary Stampede pay-per-view,
Yep.
and the camera actually missed the finish of the match. It doesn't even have the pinfall because they were busy following Bruce, who was outside the ring stealing the show.
Yep.
So Bruce was always like this.
Oh, yeah.
He's always been like,
He's in it for
that
himself.
spotlight's got to be on me.
Oh yeah, he's in it for himself. He's in for business for himself. It's like, I mean, it came to the point where pretty much Brett and Sean, they're telling him, hey, cut the crap.
And it's funny because that's why Brett pushed for Owen, because he said Bruce was like that, and Bruce showed that to Vince.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mentioned that they booed the Heavenly Bodies
Yep.
Versus Rock and Roll Express.
Yep.
Bro, they cheered for the Doink match.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the biggest joke on the business
Yep.
as far as kayfabe goes.
Yep.
Some stuff happens in this match. A lot of stuff happens in this match, and a lot of stuff happens that's not so obvious either. They open up this match with highlights of what led to this match with Doink and Bam Bam having a feud. Now, the Doink in these videos, and they even show a video of Doink talking to Bam Bam. That Doink is Matt Bourne. Matt Bourne this week of this pay-per-view got busted for drugs and fired by the WWE.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you think they would decide not to show video footage of Matt Bourne as Doink then?
I agree.
Now here's where it became a major problem.
Mm-hmm.
They showed us clips of Matt Bourne Doink. And Doink is getting over, by the way, like crazy in this match. All through the match, the crowd's chanting, "We want Doink, we want Doink."
Mm-hmm.
So this would have been Matt Bourne's one and only major babyface turn.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously he's not there. So Vince decides, well, what are we going to do about the Doinks? Because originally the idea, I guess, was supposed to be that Matt Bourne was supposed to wrestle as Doink.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know who his teammates would have been. I never heard anything about on that, what it was meant to be.
No, never heard anything.
But instead they gave us the Bushwhackers dressed like Doinks.
Yep.
Doink Butch, Doink Luke. And then they gave us Men on a Mission, Doink Mabel and Doink Mo with Doink Oscar in their corner.
Yep.
So not one of these guys is actually Doink.
Mm-hmm.
And they have the most ridiculous match I've ever seen in my life.
Now
The
here's my
backstage promo is the best part with
yeah
all the guys freaking trying to eat the turkey.
yeah.
But
My
then
take
we
on
get
it. My take on it. If you know if Matt Bourne didn't get fired and this match would have gone through with whatever original idea it was gonna be, I think it would have been awesome. But with everything
as
that
long as they
happened,
didn't have all those comedy spots
no, yeah,
planned.
yeah, no, I agree. I mean,
This
maybe,
is worse than AEW, by the way, this
yeah,
match. And again, the fans are really into this whole
yeah,
thing.
and now
The
you
same fans
know,
who just earlier in the night were booing the freaking Rock and Roll and
yeah.
Heavenly Bodies,
I mean,
they're cheering this.
the match itself was pretty much 11 minutes long, and that's way too long for what could have been a great match if Matt didn't get fired. Um,
Well,
to basically a comedy match. This match lasted too long. It should have been at least
they bring out a bunch of food because they're eating a turkey in the back, and then they bring out turkeys and bananas for some reason,
yeah,
and then it gets really bad.
yeah,
Um, First we get Bastion Booger gets in the ring, and he's doing this spot where he's gonna drop down on top of the doink, and he does it, and it works. Then he stands up doing it again, and then for whatever reason, he gets distracted by a banana.
yeah,
And he grabs the banana and he starts eating the banana, and then he goes for his spot again and doesn't realize that I think it was Mo had moved,
mm-hmm.
and so he goes down to the mat and now he's hurt, and
Yep,
then he gets pinned after he gets squashed by Mabel,
yep,
and then they bring in, dude, they brought in a scooter.
yeah,
And Mo is running around in the scooter and gets nailed. And when he does, the wheel of the scooter bashes Luke Butch in the head,
yeah,
and Butch instantly has blood seeping through the doink headgear.
yeah. It turns from white to red.
It just turns bright red. There's blood everywhere, and
Yeah,
it's like, what the heck happened? Why are they doing this?
yeah,
And then it gets worse.
yeah,
That's not even the worst of it. So Fatu gets in the ring.
yep,
And again, he gets distracted by a banana.
yep.
You know, it really means that Roddy Piper was right all those years earlier when he told Jimmy Snuka, "Oh, you Island boys get distracted by your bananas." And I guess that's what Pat Patterson was always talking about when he goes, "He went banana." But they bring in the bananas again and they distract Fatu. And he's holding up the banana peel as if he's got a thing of gold.
mm-hmm.
And then he throws it down. And then he visibly looks down at the mat, sees that he's nowhere near the banana peel.
Mm-hmm.
He takes a couple steps to the right, looks down again, and then takes a couple steps back
Yep,
to make sure he's standing on the banana peel.
yep.
And then he's still not on the banana peel, by the way.
Now,
And then he
mind
gets
you,
hit.
now,
And he
mind
falls
you,
backwards, and they go, "He
yeah.
slipped on a banana peel."
Now,
And
mind
Bobby
you,
Heenan then even Bobby Heenan gets ruined in this by saying, "Well, McMahon, does that give new meaning to slipping on a banana peel?" No, that is the meaning of slipping on a
yeah,
banana peel. What do you mean new meaning to
yeah.
it?
No, I mean, and mind you, as a kid who's totally in, kayfabe, even that didn't make sense to me.
No, this had to kill kayfabe for anybody who had kayfabe at this
It was
point.
like, are there, it was like, what, even as a kid, I was like, what's the point of this match? Like, wow.
Everything in this match is bad. Luna gets a bunch of stuff thrown on her. Oh, they did a spot with these buckets.
Yeah.
They bring
Oh.
out the buckets. They do the old clown spot, with the confetti and all, but they throw water at Samu and use that to eliminate him. And then Fatu goes to throw the bucket, and it's confetti, and it's like, oh god, what are we watching?
Yeah.
So the match mercifully ends when they do a dog pile on Bam Bam, and they all pin him. And then they're coming up the rampway, and now here's where the problem lies. Again, we saw a video earlier of Matt Bourne Doink.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Doink shows up on the screen talking to Bam Bam, and it's not Matt Bourne.
No.
It's who would become Ray Apollo, who now is the new Doink. And he cuts this whole promo on Doink about how, oh, don't feel bad. It was just a joke. And all this stupid stuff.
Yeah.
And then he even says, "But I sent you Doink Low, whoa, Doink Luke, whoa, and Doink Butch, whoa." And I'm like, "Oh my god, this is stupid."
Yeah.
And he goes, "But don't feel too bad. At least I sent you a sandwich." Really? That's how you're referring to this?
Yeah.
Doink Mo and Doink Mabel. And he's laughing some more. And Bama's like, "Doink, where you at? Come out here. Get out here." And
Mm,
oh, this is horrible.
yeah.
And
No, I mean even
at the same time, even as a kid, I was
yeah.
like, why does Doink look and sound different than he did earlier in the night?
Yeah, I was saying the same thing as a kid.
And it's like, is that a fake Doink again? Because we just seen Doink, all these other fake Doinks. So is that
And,
another fake Doink?
and and even early on in his career, there was always that fake doink of, like just appearing out of nowhere or whatever.
Yeah, because Steve Kern did it at WrestleMania earlier that year,
Yeah.
WrestleMania 9.
Yep.
But oh my God, this was just everything about this was bad.
Yeah.
And the fans loved it. That's the thing that drove me crazy. It was loved. They went berserk over this match. This match got the biggest ovation of the night.
I mean, me personally, I remember as a kid, and I had no idea why my cousins were so into it. They were like, "Yay!" Like they pop big time. I don't, and I'm like, "Why do you like this? This is stupid."
Speaking of bad Doink matches, we skipped to 1994 now.
Yep.
We have Doink with three midgets:
Oh yeah.
Dink, Wink,
And Tink.
and Pink.
Oh yeah, Pink. That's what it was.
And they are up against Jerry the King Lawler and his three midgets:
Yep.
Cheesy, Sleazy,
Sleazy.
and Queasy.
Yeah.
And then I think it was Bobby. I don't even remember who was announcing. I don't think Bobby was even there anymore. 94. I
Mm.
can't remember who was announcing this show. But they were like, "Why are they named Cheesy, Queasy, and Sleazy?" And they're like, "Because it rhymes." I think it was actually Gorilla Monsoon and Vince McMahon who announced this match. I think. I can't remember. That's how bad this is. And I just watched this last week.
Mm.
I can't remember. It's so bad. But Jerry Lawler throughout the match keeps being mean to his own midgets and telling them off, and then they win the match, which was ironic, by the way. They actually won this match. Doink's the first guy eliminated.
Mm.
And like Gorilla Monsoon said it best, when Doink got eliminated, technically Jerry Lawler should have left the ring because Jerry wasn't supposed to be in the ring with anybody except Doink. And if Doink's gone, then shouldn't he leave? And now it's the midgets match. But Jerry basically keeps on giving a hard. Oh, and by the way, the camera man really goofed this up, and so did Vince.
Yeah.
What could have been a good spot.
Yeah.
Well, I say a good spot. Wow. Let's just say good for this match.
Yeah.
Yes. When the midgets each get eliminated, they all keep going under the ring,
Yep.
but they keep showing us that they're going under the ring, and Vince even mentions it.
Yeah.
And then Lawler starts giving a hard time to his midgets, telling him, "You didn't win, you little idiots! I carried you. Put your arms down. Get down and kiss my raw feet." And
Yeah.
he's really playing it up, and now the fans really want to see his midgets even beat him up.
Yeah.
And so his midgets then team up, and they're chasing him around the ring. And that's when the Doink midgets come back out from under the ring, and they go after Lawler. But see, had we not seen them go under the ring, that would have been a big surprise, and it could have actually got a pop.
Yep. Definitely.
Instead, it was just we knew they were there, and why did they go under there? Kayfabe reason. Why would they go under there?
Yeah. Yeah.
It was stupid.
It's crazy. In kayfabe, you would wonder if when Hornswoggle would come up from under the ring, if he was in there with the Doink midgets. Sorry.
God, I hope not. So then Lawler runs up the ramp, being chased by the midgets, and then he's laughing because he runs faster than them.
Yep.
And Doink comes out from behind. And he's standing there with a pie.
Yep.
And Lawler's playing this off way too long.
Yeah.
So it loses any muster it would have had, and then he turns around, he takes the pie to the face. The only thing that I thought was funny about this is that after the fact, once he gets pie cleaned off his face and he starts walking to the back, they're showing the replay on the big screen of the pie getting in his face,
Mm-hmm.
and he can clearly see it, and he's getting mad at it. So I thought that was kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
But wow, this was bad. So the main event was a casket match,
Yep.
rematch from the Raw Rumble, Undertaker versus Yokozuna. This to me is a great match. I like it.
Don't forget.
I know everybody hates it.
Don't forget. Don't forget.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Okay.
There's a guest referee was booked,
Yes.
and he wasn't even a referee. He became the outside enforcer.
Yep.
And that man is Chuck Norris.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, it's crazy because, first of all, I remember the big nets leading into the show.
Yeah.
This time I'm going to be there ringside, was what Chuck would say. It was so cool.
Yep.
But I guess nobody wanted Chuck Norris to beat them up because they thought, like, an actor shouldn't beat me up because I'm a pro wrestler.
Yep.
So nobody was agreeing to take a bump from Chuck Norris.
Yep.
Except one man.
Yes.
Jeff Jarrett.
Yep.
And so Jeff Jarrett takes a super kick from Chuck Norris.
Yeah. He got him right in the neck.
Yeah, he did. And Jeff went flying backwards and sold the bump really well.
Oh, yeah.
But nobody else would agree to this bump to do anything.
I'll say this. If it was me, I would have volunteered. I would have volunteered immediately. I didn't care.
Absolutely. You're getting attacked by Chuck freaking Norris.
Yeah.
Chuck Norris, look at, especially now, looking back, because Chuck Norris now has all these like legends about him.
Yep.
And I bet a lot of those guys don't even realize that had they taken the spot from Chuck Norris, maybe it would have helped their career.
Oh, yeah.
Instead, they like didn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but
come on,
I thought this was a good match. I enjoyed it. I just thought that Chuck Norris wasn't involved enough.
Oh no, I agree. I mean, most of the time he was right there in the aisle while all
he's
these
just
guys
standing there watching the match, and it was really like pointless to even have him there.
Yeah, and then whenever towards the end, whenever anybody was coming out to to try to interfere, he's just there in a fighting stance, which that was cool.
And Cornette takes a great bump from the Undertaker in this match, by the way.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, Cornette, he's
and then he actually like rolls his eyes in his head,
yeah.
And even Girl on Suits like, Cornette, look at him, he got knocked silly by the Undertaker. Yeah. So I thought that was cool.
Definitely.
But yeah, that was 94. 95, like I said, we had the Diesel and Bret Hart match. There's only one other noteworthy thing. Mm-hmm. This was when WWF kept on having the phony Bill Clinton show up at their shows.
Yeah.
And now, maybe you notice, was this before the Monica Lewinsky incident?
Yeah, I believe so.
95?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
So then they foreshadowed it.
Yeah. Because
he tells Sonny, I would love to have you as one of my interns in my office. You can come in the Oval Office anytime and be there. And she goes, I would love to be in a position with you, Mr. President. He goes, I got plenty of positions for you. And it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
I was like, is this before Monica? I was like, because that's like foreshadowing.
Well, I mean,
and Sonny's sitting on his lap eating popcorn.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, it came to light. It came to light in '98. It was happening from like '95 to '97. Like they had their relationship.
Okay, because I was like, wow, that's like crazy that was in this shit.
Yeah,
I was like,
nobody knew until '98. So it was they were foreshadowing.
But yeah, he actually told her, I'd love you to be an intern. I have plenty of positions for you in the White House. She goes, I'd love to get in positions with you. And Todd Pettingill's just like, back to you, Vince. Right. Wow. So yeah, then 96, one noteworthy thing. Mm-hmm. It's the debut of Rocky Maivia.
Yep.
And that's the only thing noteworthy other than the Steve Austin and Bret Hart match we already talked about.
Yep.
97, we already went over Montreal. And 98, we skipped because we already went over to Mankind.
Yep.
So we skipped to 1999.
Yep.
'99 has a couple things. First of all, it's the debut of Kurt Angle
Yep.
against Sean Stasiak. But it's still the debut of Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
Stone Cold gets run over by a car.
Mm-hmm.
This ends up being revealed later on, not this night, that it was Rikishi. I did it for The Rock.
I did it for The Rock.
I did it for the people. The other thing, though, like I said earlier, that I was going to mention about a quick squash match.
Mm-hmm.
Big Show.
Mm-hmm.
He dominates a match in this. He goes through every opponent in less than 2 minutes.
I mean,
he defeats 4 guys.
Boss Man, Midian, Albert, and Viscera, right?
The fact that you know that off the top of your head is pretty crazy unless you have it open and you're looking at it.
No, actually, I remembered it.
Wow. But no, this was like, how did this not superstar Big Show right into the main event picture right off the bat?
I mean, I'll tell you this, though. The main reason why it's on the top of my head is because, I mean, Viscera is a fellow big guy. Prince Albert,
Yeah, and he
Albert,
gives him a choke slam, by the
yeah,
way.
yeah, Albert is another big guy. You know what I mean? And Boss Man, he's not a small guy either. He's pretty big himself. It's like, three big
And he
dudes.
body slams Mabel as well,
Yeah,
Viscera.
yeah,
He gives him body slam. It's like, oh my God, man, he's going to break the ring.
yeah. I mean, it's like, wow, it was so impressive to see that.
Just one after another. Elimination. And then it's just like Bossman leaves. He doesn't actually lose the match. He leaves. He pulls a honky tonk man.
Yeah.
But man, this was good. I liked it. It was short and sweet.
Yeah.
There was also a short match though with the women with Fabulous Moolah and all that was terrible. So that was 99. Anything to add of 99?
Remember China versus Jericho?
Was that 99?
Yeah.
I don't remember that being 99. Oh, okay.
Yeah, China had Miss Kitty or the cat or whatever she went by at the time. And she defeated Jericho if I remember correctly. And she was the champion.
2000, I have nothing to talk about in 2000. I thought this show was absolutely horrendous.
Yeah.
And I don't care about anything on it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
2001, I already mentioned the tag match, and I mentioned the inaugural match where Test won his immunity. We mentioned that.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, there was nothing big there.
Mm-hmm.
Except for the fact that it was the end of the invasion angle.
Oh, yeah. Which, for me, I was happy about because it wasn't going anywhere, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. The next night, Ric Flair debuts. Come on, seriously?
Yeah.
What? Ric Flair could have come in and rejuvenated that angle.
Exactly.
If you knew you were getting him the next night, don't end the angle.
Exactly, because there's two...
And then a few months later, we get Scott Steiner, and then Goldberg, and Hogan, and the NWO. And
yeah, I mean, if anything, it could have rejuvenated because there's two big names that were synonymous with WCW. That was Ric Flair and Sting. Obviously, Sting wasn't gonna show up until.
But this is
later.
November of 01.
Yeah.
The next night is the debut of Ric Flair.
That's what I'm saying. The fact that they ended it and then they bring Ric Flair. Come on.
And then in February, they bring in the NWO.
Yeah.
Why didn't they just keep the angle going?
Exactly.
And not end it. And have Flair come in the next night and rejuvenate the angle.
Exactly.
All they did if Flair's coming in the next night, do something at the pay-per-view that leads to have a masked guy, for God's sakes. Yeah. Come on. If you couldn't get Flair that night, have a masked guy. And then the next night, reveal the masked guy was Ric Flair, even if it wasn't the night before. We've seen that happen before with the Black Scorpion. Do it again. No, have a masked guy come in and stop the match and cost WF the match so that nobody wins.
I mean, here's the thing that doesn't make sense. It's not that they ended the angle, it's that they changed it. Because if you think about it, if Ric Flair comes in, then he becomes like half owner of the WWF or WWE.
Yeah, and it was like, why couldn't you just do that as part of the invasion stuff?
Yeah. Exactly.
And then the NWO is brought in by the invaders to kill the WWF. Now it still makes sense, and it's making this invasion angle not suck.
Yeah.
And then Eric Bischoff comes in not long after that.
Yeah.
Instead of having him come out and hug Vince, he comes in and he's been behind the whole deal all along to help the invasion. See how they could have made this all work?
Yeah, and then
And then Scott Steiner comes in. And then Goldberg comes in.
They could have turned SmackDown into a WCW show or something.
Well, they were trying to show a WCW show. They wanted to turn Raw into Nitro.
Yeah.
And they were going to have SmackDown as the WWF show.
Yep.
And they were going to get rid of Raw. And the fans in attendance and the fans at home, none of them were buying in the way.
Yeah.
But the invasion angle could have still gone on, and I think it would have worked.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree.
But 2002, we already talked about the Elimination Chamber. There's nothing else noteworthy.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, 2003 and 2004, same thing. I have nothing to say of either of those shows.
I don't even remember them, to be honest with you.
05, we already talked about the Survivor Series match, which was really good.
Mm-hmm.
06 got one mention.
All right.
CM Punk is on Team DX, and the Philadelphia crowd could care less about DX. All they cared about was CM Punk.
Yeah.
Triple H saw this and hugs Punk and even lets Punk take over when they did the Are You Ready? He let Punk be the guy to ask that.
Exactly.
He tried to involve Punk as much as possible because he realized he was smart enough to realize that him and Shawn were going to get booed out of the building unless they were working with Punk the whole time.
Exactly.
Punk mentioned he was supposed to be the first guy eliminated in this match.
Mm-hmm.
He ends up being the only survivor with DX.
Mm-hmm.
Because they made sure we're not getting rid of Punk.
They called an audible. They called an audible as soon
that
as
crowd would have turned on them in a minute if Punk was the first guy out. And Triple H was smart enough, to his credit, to realize this, and he went with it so that him and Shawn could still get over with the crowd.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, at this time, Triple H, he already had a lot of pull with Vince, and it was
well, the pull was pulled in the ring. He called the audible in the ring.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying
so
that
Vince didn't have anything
pull.
They could have did about it.
No, what I'm saying that he had enough pull that he could confidently call the audible in the ring. And Vince
I don't think Vince would have called the audible. I don't think Vince would have been smart enough to do it.
No, he wouldn't have. He wouldn't have. But like you said, Triple H, he was smart enough.
Let's not forget what happened later on that year at the December to Dismember with Punk. They made Punk the first guy eliminated out of the chamber match that Paul wanted him to win.
Yeah.
And look how that worked out for them.
Yep.
We skipped 2007 and 2008 and 2009, unless you have something to add to those years.
Nothing. Like I said, a lot of these are not memorable. A lot of these are not memorable. So
2010, they had this amazing angle going on. I was talking about this the other day with somebody. Mm-hmm. The Nexus angle was amazing. You're either Nexus or you're against us.
Oh, yeah.
They take over Raw. They yell in John Cena's face that you're not better than us and you're garbage. They trash Raw. Mm-hmm. They tear up the ring. They beat up the announcers. They are dominating. And Wade Barrett is being put in the position to be the top guy of the whole company. Mm-hmm. And they do this angle where John Cena is going to be the referee for Wade Barrett versus Randy Orton. Mm-hmm. And there's this stipulation because the Nexus somehow now owns John Cena's contract that John Cena is going to get fired if they don't let Wade Barrett win the title.
Yeah, I remember.
And of course, Wade doesn't win. John gets fired. He goes to a couple of house shows under a mask as Juan Cena. And this never makes it to television. And instead, he comes back immediately, has a match with Barrett, and buries Barrett, gets his contract back, and he's back on the roster.
Yeah.
This, of course, was also after he buried them all at SummerSlam because he beat every member of the Nexus by himself. But that's another story. Oh, man. That's 2010. 2011 gets, I already mentioned the Alberto Del Rio versus Punk match. It's also noteworthy that it was in Madison Square Garden, and it was the return of The Rock, who made his debut in Madison Square Garden at Survivor Series 96. Now he's making his return one night only, never before, never again. The Rock is teaming with John Cena to take on The Miz and R-Truth. R-Truth got a lot of heat backstage because him and Evan Bourne got busted with pot, and Evan Bourne got suspended. And Truth was going to be suspended, but they told him he would get to have his payout first for Survivor Series. A lot of people felt was messed up that he got that.
Yep.
But it was because it was such a booked match with The Rock, they were not going to change that.
Wow.
This match is terrible. It's The Rock and John Cena in the tag match, but who cares?
Yeah.
And the fans didn't care either, as the whole match and the whole show, by the way. This entire event, all you heard from the New York City crowd was, "We want Ryder."
Yeah.
The entire night.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, they didn't care either.
I mean, the Island Ice Z, come on. You know, he's self-promoting on YouTube and everything, and WWE just kind of keeps throwing him under the rug and forgetting about him.
Well, the funny part about it was John Cena showed up on one of those Long Island IC shows.
Yep.
And so Vince tried to say the only reason it got over was because Cena had showed up on it.
Oh, that's BS.
I remember that, though, because it was like, really?
Yeah, no, that's BS.
It was crazy.
Yeah. Well, first, you know, McMahon, you know, he has this God complex, you know, going on.
Well,
you know.
The only other notes I have, 2014, we're skipping ahead to the Authority versus the team of Raw, who's going to be in charge, all this different stuff. And Sting makes his WWE debut.
Yep.
And he comes out and he drops the Authority and helps Dolph Ziggler win the match.
Yep.
And this is the only thing noteworthy on this match and this show.
I agree.
So
no arguments from me.
And then the only other Survivor Series thing I mentioned is I watched 2019 for the first time, and I thought that the Becky Lynch versus Bayley versus Shayna Baszler match was actually really good. But Michael Cole ruins it with his commentary.
As always.
Yes, it's a trend for a reason.
Yeah.
But I still thought this was a good match. Oh, yeah, I hate how things ended up turning out for Shayna, but they let her dominate this match. I enjoyed it. I thought this is a good match.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it was well told in the ring. The story was well told in the ring. And, you know, regardless of Michael Cole with his terrible commentary, the story was well told in the ring. You know, as it should.
But yeah, other than that, Survivor Series has really gone downhill over the last few years.
I agree.
And there's been like nothing really noteworthy, like I said.
Yeah, I barely had watched it. Like when my grandfather was still with us, I would watch it, and then when he passed away, you know, a couple years ago, I didn't watch it that year. You know, in 2018, I didn't watch it. I mean, it was. I watched. Okay, in 2018, I watched the NXT one, you know, before the NXT the night before the War Games, and we talked about that earlier. But I didn't watch Survivor Series of 2018.
Well, I mean, tomorrow night doesn't look any better. They're doing a 30-year tribute to The Undertaker.
Yeah, that's the only reason why I'm going to watch it.
We have champion versus champion, but non-title.
Mm-hmm.
Pointless. Sami Zayn versus Bobby Lashley. Is that feud really still going on?
Apparently, yeah.
This is the feud where we saw Bobby Lashley's supposed family. Yeah. Sami brought out. Yeah. We had the boot camp thing that they did, and oh my god, and they're still doing that. Wow. We have Team Raw versus Team SmackDown for both men's and women's. Mm-hmm. For the men's side, it looks like Team Raw is going to be AJ Styles, Keith Lee, Sheamus, Braun Strowman, and Riddle, formerly Matt Riddle. Mm-hmm. I didn't even know he's on the main roster yet.
Yeah,
News to
he
me. Versus
just recently within the
versus
past
Team
couple months.
SmackDown: Kevin Owens, Jey Uso, King Corbin,
Hmm.
Seth Rollins, and Otis.
Yeah,
Dude, this match looks terrible even on paper.
yeah.
I mean, Styles and Keith Lee should be in a singles match with each other, if anything, if they want to get a good match out of these guys.
No, I agree.
I don't see any. I mean, Styles and Kevin Owens can work together, but
I
we've
mean,
seen it.
they got the New Day going against the Street Profits, which is gonna be a good match because with the
I
high
haven't gotten that far
flying.
yet. I
Oh,
see that
okay,
here.
okay. But as far as the like Team Raw versus Team
As
SmackDown,
our champions versus champions non-titles match, by the way.
yeah, Asuka versus Sasha.
We got 4 freaking champion versus champion matches non-title.
I believe so.
We got Asuka versus Sasha Banks, champion versus champion
Uh huh.
non-title, and then we got Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns, champion versus champion
Yep.
non-title.
Yeah.
So basically,
The only
all
two
the champions are going to
matches.
be buried on this show.
Yeah, the only two matches that's not gonna have champion versus champion is gonna be the Survivor Series matches.
Well, there's a dual brand battle royal,
Hmm.
but that's going to be on the pre-show. To me,
Hmm.
that would be my favorite match because I love battle royals.
Oh yeah.
That would be the match I care about the most. And it's not even on the main show; it's on the pre-show.
Even when I was still wrestling, battle royals were my favorite match. To
I love
participate.
battle royals.
Yeah.
That's why I love the Royal Rumble.
Oh
But
yeah.
and then Team SmackDown women versus Team Raw women.
Yep.
We have Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, Lana, Lacey Evans, and Peyton Royce.
You know what's
Which
gonna be
one of
funny?
those does not belong on that team? Which
Well,
one of these women is not like the
you
others?
know what's gonna be funny? What's gonna be funny is that you're gonna have a lot of people that are listening. They're gonna cringe because you say Shayna Baszler.
Why? Because I didn't say Shayna Baszler.
Exactly. They're gonna cringe. Watch, they're gonna write.
Anyway.
No, but
Shayna
the
Baszler is
only
the
one that
only
doesn't
one, by the
belong
way,
there,
in that list.
Lana.
She's the only one in that list that actually is good
Yeah,
on Team Raw.
yeah. I mean
And what
Nia
happened to Peyton
Jax.
Royce anyway? I thought Peyton Royce was teamed with that other girl.
Oh no, I think they split them up at some point, if I remember.
I don't even see the other girl on this card. So,
Yeah, no, but I mean the
and
fact
then you got
that
Team SmackDown, Bianca Belair.
yeah.
She's okay. I never cared for her. Ruby Riott, she's good.
Ooh.
Liv Morgan is good.
Yeah.
Bailey is good. Natalia is good. Man, Team SmackDown's my team here.
Oh yeah, no, no, I'm rooting for Team SmackDown just because of Bianca Belair, Bailey, and all of them. They pretty much, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just sad. The only way I would want Team SmackDown to lose is if Shayna Baszler decides that she's going to beat up everybody in the ring.
Yeah, that would make
That's not
sense.
going to happen.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Lacey Evans is a good worker, and Peyton Royce, she's a good worker.
I don't agree with that, but
Well,
okay, we can agree to
again, well, this is
disagree on
just
that.
my opinion.
Yeah, I know, and we can agree to disagree
You
on
know,
that.
I'm saying, like she's not the best, but she's decent. Peyton Royce, with her history, she's pretty decent. You know what I mean? But come on, like you got Natalia, you got Bailey, you got Liv Morgan, you got come on now. So I agree with you. If Shayna Baszler decides to destroy everybody, I think it's
Raw and SmackDown just beats up everybody.
yeah,
That
exactly,
would
exactly.
be good.
Oh
But
yeah.
otherwise, I'm on Team SmackDown on that
I'm
one.
willing to predict that Nia Jax is gonna put Lana through a table.
And I'm calling it now that that's going to be the best match of the night, by the way.
Yeah, no,
The women's match.
I agree. I agree.
Uh, Asuka and Sasha, I have no interest in whatsoever. That's garbage. I don't know why WWE pushes Sasha so much. To me, Sasha is crap. I can't stand Sasha Banks. She's not a good wrestler. I'll never forget the stupid cell match she had with Charlotte, who I also hate.
Mhm.
The two of them tried like 20 million times to break a table and couldn't even do it because Sasha weighs like freaking 40 pounds.
Yeah.
And you're not going to break a table.
And mind you, the table is gimmick.
Yeah, and still couldn't break it. Exactly. But oh my God, you remember the cell match? The only
Yeah.
thing anybody was even talking about in that match was the fact that she kept pulling an Ahmed Johnson in it.
Yeah. The
And
one thing.
even that, I'm like, You talk about your Charlotte jokes all the time with
Yeah.
that, but Sasha too.
Yeah, Shirley gets the wedgies. I mean, not Shirley. Sasha gets the wedgies. Well,
Sasha, but Sasha's got nothing there to wedge into.
yeah.
She's got two legs that never have anything connected at the top of it.
No meat.
That ain't a butt. That's the top of her legs.
Yeah. No,
But anyway,
now if Bailey started wearing shorts the way Sasha does, then I'd be more interested.
well, you know I'm a huge Bailey fan,
Oh yeah,
so
no. Oh no, I agree.
for many, many reasons.
Oh, yeah, I agree with you on all of your reasons.
Bailey is the best women's wrestler in this era.
Oh yeah.
And then Becky Lynch would be second.
Oh yeah.
Shayna Baszler is great for her own reasons.
Yep.
As a dominant force. I tell you, Shayna really won me over when they did that women's elimination chamber, which just beat everybody up.
Oh yeah. No, I agree.
But I digress.
Mhm.
So that's our Survivor Series discussion. And how about that? We kept it under 2.5 hours.
Yay!
So we made it perfect timing. Did anybody write any comments or questions that we may
Well,
have missed?
John in the beginning said, "What's up, guys?" And then he said that he heard me better, and he was laughing about the Paul Heyman and Undertaker thing. When you
Paul Heyman and Undertaker thing.
this was in the beginning of the podcast when you were talking about the I mean, not the Paul Heyman, sorry, the Paul Bearer and Undertaker thing.
Okay, yeah, because I was like,
Yeah,
when did
sorry.
we talk about Paul Heyman and the Undertaker?
Sorry, when you're talking about the
I mean, Paul Heyman did manage the Undertaker way back in the day, but we didn't talk about that today.
No, when you're talking about the Paul Bearer, Undertaker, Kane, where you said somebody.
Oh, the brother thing.
Yeah. That's what.
Yeah, I saw that he wrote that he was watching UFC instead of watching us. So
Typical.
he was watching some UFC fight.
Hey,
So
different strokes for different folks. That's all I gotta say.
well, Shayna could be a part of the UFC. She was.
Oh yeah. No. She was
So-
dominant. She was a dominant in the cage. She was dominant in the cage. I mean, she was a great fighter. Oh, none but respect for her.
But anyway, any other questions or anything, or no?
No.
All right, then. Did you have anything to add?
Nope. I'm all good, brother.
All right. Well, then with that, we are done. And next week, Black Friday is Friday, and we will be here the day after Black Friday. And I'm not exactly sure what we're going to discuss yet, but maybe we'll have some Black Friday discussions. Let's hope that nobody gets trampled and killed during Black Friday this year. I think more so this year you'll have more problems of people killing their Wi-Fi doing all their online shopping. So no comment from you, I guess.
Just laughing, bro. I'm laughing.
Okay. So yeah, make sure you go back and rewatch the South Park Black Friday episodes. That's always a fun thing to do on a Black Friday.
Yep.
And including with that was the Stop Touching Me Elmo. We want the Elmo down. But anyway, so we'll see you next week. Well, we won't see you, but you'll hear us next week right here on this show. So for now, I'm Big Time Jimmy Larson. He's CT Bishop, and we'll see you next week to find out what's going down.